Chapter 37:17. Long Chen broke through the powerful laws of Sheiji, origin soul ancestor, and hexapath. How about it, Long Chen, do you dare to kill these ancestor gods? They won't be able to revive if you kill them, and you'll bear the sin of killing an ancestor god. A cruel expression appeared on the origin soul ancestor's face. It was the divine demon lord who manipulated him to mock Long Chen. Be it ancestral god Sheiji, the ancestral god of the origin soul, the ancestral god of six paths, or the other ancestral gods of the fourth era, they were all ancestral gods who had a good relationship with Long Chen. After the battle with the sacred lord of the god-fiend god realm, they were all on his side. Now, Long Chen really couldn't bear to kill them. However, Long Chen's killing intent had risen, and his slaughter law had skyrocketed. Moreover, he knew very well that if he couldn't kill these ancestor gods, he would be toyed to death by the divine demon lord. Lingxi, Xuanji, enter the divine kingdom. Long Chen shouted and put the two women into the divine kingdom. He didn't want to have to take care of them during the battle and distract Long Chen. Previously, Long Chen wasn't strong enough and needed the help of the two women to fight. But now, as Long Chen broke through the shackles and stepped into the fourth era's origin ancestor god realm, he didn't need the two women to fight in front of him. Long Chen would take responsibility for everything that happened in front of him. Lingxi and Li Xuanji naturally trusted Long Chen and entered Long Chen's divine kingdom without any hesitation. Then, Long Chen wielded the slaughtering blood sword and unleashed his law of slaughter at the Sheiji demon forefather, the ancestor of original soul, and the hexapath demon forefather. Violent blood. Devouring soul. Long Chen gripped the bloodlust sword tightly, and a scarlet color swept across the entire field, erupting with a tyrannical blood-colored blade storm. Long Chen couldn't bear to face these three controlled fourth-era primordial ancestor gods, but he had to kill them no matter what. Only then would he have the ability to face the divine demon's sacred master. If the god-fiend's sacred master didn't die, Long Chen's camp would all die in the end. Even the fourth era's ancestral gods wouldn't be able to survive. Therefore, Long Chen, who had thought through everything, was determined to kill. Even if he had to kill these fourth era's primordial ancestor gods, he couldn't hesitate at all. Otherwise, even if he had the power to suppress them, he would still be toyed to death by the god-fiend's sacred master. Violent blood-devouring soul was a move that Long Chen comprehended when he cultivated the sixth slaughter law world's origin and stepped into the fourth era's primordial ancestor god realm. It was the upgraded version of the blood-spirit devouring soul. In terms of the power of the slaughter law, violent blood-devouring soul was superior to the blood-spirit devouring soul. Moreover, its greatest use was to devour the opponent's soul without harming it. Long Chen could place it in the ruins of time. Just like the bodies of the 8 dragon servants, it would be immortal in the ruins of time, and there might be a possibility of resurrection in the future. Facing the fourth era's primordial ancestor gods who were like family and friends, even if he had to kill them, Long Chen could only kill them with tears in his eyes and leave them with hope. You really dared to do it, Long Chen. This feeling of slaughtering your friends and comrades seems to be very good. Long Chen said. Hee hee. The god-fiend's sacred master controlled the origin soul ancestor and laughed sinisterly. Then, the origin soul ancestor was devoured by the violent blood-devouring soul's blade storm. Long Chen didn't hesitate at all. His face was bloodthirsty and cold, but his heart was bleeding. The god-fiend's sacred master will repay the blood of all ancestor gods for you. Everyone, I'm sorry. Long Chen could only do it by remaining cold. No matter what the god-fiend's sacred master said, Long Chen didn't retreat at all. The violent blood-devouring soul continued to devour the souls of the origin soul ancestor, Sheiji ancestral demon ancestor, and the hexapath ancestral demon ancestor, sending them into the ruins of time. However, the 3 ancestor gods were only left with their souls and the world's origin, which were stored away by Long Chen. Their bodies were shattered, and waves of black gas came out. That was a part of the god-fiend sacred master's body. When the fourth era's primordial ancestor god died, the god-fiend's sacred master couldn't stay there any longer. that part of his body would definitely return to his main body. Long Chen. Die. At that moment, a soul-devouring beast suddenly sneaked up on Long Chen and launched a nomological attack at him. This sound was exactly the same as the original Origin Dragon attendant, causing Long Chen's heart to skip a beat. On the other side, another soul-devouring beast erupted. It was covered in the slaughter law, and it was filled with the aura of a slaughter dragon servant. It also attacked Long Chen from all sides. Dragon servants, wait for me to kill the God Fiend's sacred master and save you. Long Chen's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly regained his composure. He knew that this wasn't the time to be distracted. If he did, he would fall into the God Fiend sacred master's trap. All of you, move aside. Long Chen tightened his grip on the blood slaughter sword, and the slaughter intent didn't diminish at all. The psychedelic pendant also floated up at this time, fusing with the power of the slaughter law. Violent blood hell. Long Chen combined the slaughter law and the psychedelic law to unleash the laws of the violent blood hell. He created a hallucinatory world filled with the stench of blood and violence, and he enveloped the two soul-devouring beasts within. In the violent blood hell, the soul-devouring beasts would see the illusion of the person they attacked. Right now, they would see the illusion of Long Chen and attack the illusion of Long Chen. Due to the influence of the slaughter law, it was very difficult for them to realize that they were in an illusion. Not only could the violent blood hell trap the soul-devouring beasts and temporarily reduce the pressure on Long Chen, but it could also weaken the soul-devouring beast's strength. The souls of the dragon servants wouldn't be harmed anyway, so it was a very good move for Long Chen. In an instant, two soul-devouring beasts were swallowed by the violent blood hell, and then they were immersed in the slaughter of Long Chen's illusion, unable to extricate themselves. Even the divine demon lord controlling the two soul-devouring beasts couldn't wake them up from the illusion. Now that Long Chen's slaughter law had cultivated the sixth world's origin, his strength was much stronger than before, and even the divine demon lord couldn't do anything about it. Kill. Great Dream Heart Ancestor, Nature Ancestor, and Chaos Ancestor God, the three fourth-era ancestor gods, immediately attacked Long Chen, wanting to stop Long Chen and exhaust Long Chen's strength. Thousand-year dream, slumber. Great Dream Heart Ancestor raised his hand and unleashed the Great Dream rules. The thousand-year dream of deep slumber intent domain quietly descended, causing Long Chen to feel drowsy. He really wanted to sleep like this and never wake up, away from all the troubles in the world. But the killing intent in Long Chen's eyes suddenly surged, pulling him back from the edge of slumber. Divine Demon Lord, you must die. With endless killing intent towards the Divine Demon Lord, Long Chen instantly woke up, and the violent blood-devouring soul condensed a scarlet sword storm. The violent power enveloped Great Dream Heart Ancestor within, and completely devoured his soul. Today, the Heaven-Devouring Chronicles exploded, and there were 5 chapters. Chapter 37:18. Great Dream Heart Ancestor was swallowed by the violent blood devourer Swordstorm and was finally killed by Long Chen. And Long Chen's slaughter would not stop until he killed the Divine Demon Holy Lord. Nature's Storm. Nature Ancestor attacked from the side, bringing with him a natural law storm, attempting to engulf Long Chen within and stop him from advancing. Long Chen no longer showed any mercy when he attacked. A bloody sword aura imbued with slaughter law slashed through the natural law storm, and then he used the violent blood devourer Swordstorm to devour Nature Ancestor. And Chaos Ancestor God. Long Chen looked at the chaotic ancestral god, and a hint of pity appeared in his eyes. Not long ago, the chaotic ancestral god was still a friend and elder of Long Chen's and sparred with him. But now, he was being controlled by the sacred Lord God Demon and had lost his own will. He could only become a sacrifice for the sacred Lord. Facing Chaos Ancestor God, Long Chen had no choice but to continue using the violent blood devourer Swordstorm. No matter what, he could not continue. Even if he killed all these ancestor gods, he had to go to the Divine Demon Holy Lord and kill him. This was what Long Chen had to do now. If he hesitated any longer, he would fall into the divine demon Holy Lord's trap and never be able to escape. Long Chen, I'm Chaos Ancestor God, do you want to kill me? Chaos Ancestor God's face showed a hint of sorrow. You're a divine demon Holy Lord, you can't fool me. If you were Chaos Ancestor God, you wouldn't be begging me for mercy under such circumstances. Long Chen said calmly as he tightened his grip on the blood slaughter sword. Violent blood devours soul, and a bloody storm of swords roared out, enveloping the entire Chaos Ancestral God and devouring his soul and world origin. Ever since Long Chen's law of slaughter had broken through to the Fourth Era, he had devoured 6 Fourth Era progenitor gods in succession. There were 8 Fourth Era progenitor gods and 8 soul-devouring beasts refined by senior dragon attendants. Slaughter law revolved around Long Chen's body, gradually forming a blood-colored slaughter chain. The violent blood devourer's blade storm was able to sweep through the slaughter chain at any time and place. If he were to face the soul-devouring beast, Long Chen would fuse the laws of slaughter and transformation to display the laws of violent blood hell, temporarily trapping the soul-devouring beast within. If he were to face the Fourth Era's progenitor god, Long Chen could only use violent blood-devouring soul to kill it. In this way, the souls of the dragon servants inside the soul-devourer beast wouldn't be harmed, and the Fourth Era ancestor gods had the possibility of resurrecting because they retained their world source and souls in the ruins of time. However, even if these ancestor gods had the chance to resurrect, it would be extremely difficult. Long Chen's strength was limited, and he couldn't use the violent blood devourer hell to trap all of his opponents. Therefore, he could only choose to control the soul devourer beast and kill the other ancestor gods. Long Chen stepped into the Fourth Era ancestor god realm, and his slaughter law surged as he attacked the divine demon Holy Lords with irresistible force. A portion of the divine demon Holy Lords in the bodies of the ancestor gods killed by Long Chen escaped and gathered in the bodies of the remaining ancestor gods. In next to no time, only the last 7 ancestral gods of the Fourth Era remained, and they included the past and future ancestors, the Blood Fiend Ancestor, the Tao Ancestor of the Era, the Predestination Star Ancestor, and the Creation Ancestor. These 5 were the 5 ancestral gods of the Fourth Era that had besieged Long Chen at the beginning, and the primordial Chaos Ancestral God and the Creation Ancestral God were included as well. The 7 ancestor gods finally gathered together, and the divine demon Holy Lords possessed the bodies of the 7 of them, surrounding Long Chen in the middle. At the same time, the last 8 soul-devourer beasts finally broke through the violent blood hell's violent blood illusion's restraint and erupted again, surrounding Long Chen with the 7 Fourth Era ancestor gods. A total of 15 experts surrounded Long Chen, and it was impossible for him to escape. The only thing Long Chen could do was kill, and kill all of these ancestor gods. If he didn't kill these ancestor gods, the divine demon Holy Lord's bodies would be hidden in these ancestor gods' bodies, and Long Chen would never be able to kill them. After the divine demon Holy Lords transformed into giant divine demon beasts and swallowed Mo Shaolang, they returned to the bodies of the ancestor gods and spread out, leaving Long Chen with no way to deal with them. He will definitely succeed. The divine demon Holy Lords are no match for him. Li Xuanji clenched her fists. Although she was very confident in Long Chen, she was extremely nervous at this moment and couldn't relax at all. Apart from Lingxi and Li Xuanji, there were countless living beings, divine demons, and supremacies watching this battle that would decide the fate of the myriad worlds. Everyone was praying for Long Chen. Originally, all living beings in the myriad worlds thought that they were doomed, but when Long Chen broke through to the Fourth Era's origin ancestor god realm, they all saw hope. Long Chen still had a chance to kill the divine demon Holy Lord. All living beings in the myriad worlds and billions of divine demon supremacies were cheering and praying for Long Chen. 15-1. The 8 soul-devouring beasts and the 7 Fourth Era's origin ancestor gods surrounded Long Chen in the middle, not planning to give Long Chen any chance. Clearly, the giant divine demon Holy Lords felt threatened by Long Chen's burst of power. Soul-devouring beasts, ancestor gods, unleash all your power and kill Long Chen. The divine demon Holy Lord hid within the bodies of the 7 ancestor gods and roared out an order. The 8 soul-devouring beasts opened their huge mouths at the same time and spat out a wave of devouring law at Long Chen. It was eerie and terrifying. The 8 devouring law formed a devouring tornado that surged toward Long Chen. Under the control of the divine demon Holy Lord, the 8 soul-devouring beasts attacked at the same time and unleashed a terrifying tornado. This powerful tornado carried a sinister aura as if it wanted to devour the entire myriad worlds. The space of the myriad worlds began to tremble in this tornado. For extreme sacred realm. At this moment, Long Chen's heart actually calmed down a little. He raised his hand, and the power of slaughter, time, karma, and life law condensed and fused into 4 powerful sacred realms. Since the slaughter law had been raised to the 4th era's origin ancestor god realm, the power of Long Chen's for extreme sacred realm had also surpassed what it was before. Even the tornado formed by the 8 soul-devouring beasts attacking at the same time was suppressed by the 4 extreme sacred realm in terms of aura. Break! Long Chen roared. Within the 4 sacred realms of the 4 extreme sacred realm, the figures of the ancestor divine dragons danced and danced, sandwiching the tornado that could devour all worlds. The power of the 4 violent laws erupted at the same time and counteracted the tornado that could devour all worlds. The sky-swallowing record didn't update at night. Chapter 37:19. The 4 worlds of the 4 ultimate sanctuary arrived with a loud bang, completely swallowing the tornado that could devour all worlds. Terrifying vortexes erupted from both sides, completely destroying and annihilating the surrounding space and time, forming an area where both time and space were in complete chaos. Even if the primal chaos world hadn't been destroyed, it would have been devoured by the chaotic space and time at this moment. Violent blood-devouring soul. Long Chen unleashed the 4 extreme sacred realm to resist the joint attack of the 8 soul-devouring beasts, but he didn't let his guard down. Instead, he immediately launched an attack at the Chaos Ancestor God and the Creation Ancestor God. The blood-red sword storm formed by the violent blood-devouring soul-devouring technique instantly erupted, shattering the void and devouring the Creation Ancestor God and the Chaos Ancestor God. You've been tricked. The divine demon lord's cold voice resounded. Then, the past and future ancestors, the blood demon ancestor, the Era Dao ancestor, the Destiny Star ancestor, and the demonic ancestor all attacked Long Chen at almost the same time. The divine demon lord had purposely let the Creation Ancestor God and the Chaos Ancestor God reveal an opening to attract Long Chen's attack. Then, the 5 ancestor gods attacked together in an attempt to completely annihilate Long Chen. Long Chen's violent blood-devouring soul and blood-red storm of blades had indeed killed the Chaos Ancestor God and the Creation Ancestor God and devoured their souls and world origin into the ruins of time. But at this moment, before he could even react, the all-out attack from the past and future ancestors had already landed on his body. 2 extreme worlds. The past and future ancestors held the past world in their left hand and the future world in their right. The 2 extreme worlds attacked again, and even though they were exhausted to the point of vomiting blood, they didn't hesitate to use it. The 2 extreme worlds descended, and they wanted to completely annihilate Long Chen in the river of past and future. Demonic blood sky sealing kill. At this moment, the blood demon ancestor also displayed his strongest technique. A scarlet magic formation was summoned by him and enveloped Long Chen's body. Within the magic formation of the blood demon forbidden space kill, Long Chen's movements became extremely slow. Originally, because he had been attacked by the 2 ancestral gods, he could not react in time. Now that his movements had slowed down, it was even more difficult for him to resist the following attacks. End of an era. The epic Dao ancestor condensed the majestic power of the epic laws, unleashing a power of destruction that could destroy an epoch. It transformed into a gigantic hand seal that descended from the sky. The laws of epic destruction contained within it were several times stronger than the great epic hand seal from before. The first divine light. Life-sealing art. The founding demon ancestor and the destiny star ancestor, the 2 fourth era's primordial ancestor gods, transformed into their true forms and used their strongest techniques to attack Long Chen. 5 great nomological techniques enveloped Long Chen from 5 different spaces. There was no way to dodge or escape. Long Chen, let's see how you deal with this time. The divine demon Sacred Lord's voice rang out. A moment later, the 5 nomological techniques landed on Long Chen's body at the same time. The divine demon Sacred Lord hoped that the combined attack of the 5 ancestral gods would be able to completely annihilate Long Chen. Otherwise, his situation would not be too good. However, the divine demon Sacred Lord soon discovered that in the center of the 5 nomological techniques that the 5 ancestral gods had unleashed, an hourglass filled with the color of blood suddenly appeared. This hourglass was somewhat similar to the fate hourglass that Long Chen had used in the past. The only difference was that this hourglass contained the blood-colored laws of massacre. Ultimate Fate Hourglass. Long Chen fused the laws of massacre, fate, and time to create this blood-colored hourglass in the void beside him. As the laws of massacre in the hourglass flowed, the blood-red color dyed the surrounding space and time, filling the entire space and time with the laws of massacre. The laws of massacre permeated the 2 extremes of the past and future ancestors. As the fate hourglass flowed, the power of the 2 extremes of the world was slowly annihilated by the laws of massacre. During this process, the time around Long Chen seemed to have stopped. Due to the speed at which the fate hourglass flowed, the time around Long Chen underwent a huge change. The nomological power that could have instantly struck Long Chen was now swept into the ultimate fate hourglass and lost its power as the fate hourglass flowed. After incorporating the laws of massacre of the 4th epoch's ancestral god realm, the power of the fate hourglass became unimaginable. The laws of massacre in this hourglass seemed to be able to transcend endless space and time and annihilate any existence. The powerful nomological power of the blood demon ancestor, the blood demon sealing space kill, had originally imprisoned Long Chen. However, at this moment, the blood demon sealing space kill formation was controlled by the ultimate fate hourglass. As the fate hourglass flowed, the power of the blood demon sealing space kill formation gradually dissipated in the void and could no longer affect Long Chen. The era's destruction. The Tao ancestor of the era's gigantic handprint fell from the void, but it was also sucked in by the ultimate hourglass of fate. The laws of slaughter in the hourglass of fate constantly annihilated the power of the era's destruction handprint, dissipating it into nothingness. The life-sealing art and the original divine light are the same techniques, but they are useless against me. Long Chen finally looked at the nomological techniques of the Destiny Star Ancestor and the Demon Ancestor Creator. The Destiny Star Pagoda descended from the sky to suppress him, but it was also absorbed by the ultimate fate hourglass and could not suppress Long Chen. Moreover, the power within it was quickly annihilated by the hourglass. The original divine light and the life-sealing art were in the same situation. Before they could get close to Long Chen, they were absorbed by the ultimate fate hourglass and annihilated by the laws of massacre within. As Long Chen's laws of massacre rose to the 4th epoch's ancestral god realm, all of his techniques were enhanced. The fate hourglass could also withstand the powerful attacks of the 5 ancestral gods at the same time. However, using the ultimate fate hourglass also consumed a lot of Long Chen's physical strength. Next, he did not hesitate and prepared to attack the Destiny Star Ancestor and the Demon Ancestor Creator. Explode. Perhaps because he felt threatened, the divine demon Sacred Lord was no longer as calm and collected as before. He immediately urged the Destiny Star Ancestor and the Demon Ancestor Creator to sacrifice their respective world origins in an attempt to detonate the world origins. Time entanglement. Long Chen's heart tightened when he saw this. He knew that he must not allow the divine demon Sacred Lord to truly detonate the world origin. The time chain instantly extended out and trapped the 2 ancestral gods, preventing them from moving. Then, violent blood-devouring soul. The violent blood-devouring soul condensed into 2 blood-colored blade storms that descended upon the Destiny Star Ancestor and the Demon Ancestor Creator, instantly killing the 2 4th epoch's ancestral gods. Chapter 37:20. The Destiny Star Ancestor and the Demon Creator Ancestor were unable to resist Long Chen's violent blood-devouring law. The blood-colored sword storm descended and instantly devoured the souls and world origin of the two ancestor gods. Two balls of black energy flew out of the bodies of the two ancestor gods. They were part of the sacred God-Fiend Lord's body that was used to control the two ancestor gods. These two balls of black energy wanted to enter the bodies of the other ancestor gods, but Long Chen didn't give them any chance. Kill, kill, kill. Violent blood-devouring law, die. Long Chen's eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. The slaughtering blood sword continued to erupt in his hand, sweeping out wave after wave of the violent blood-devouring law blade storm towards the remaining three ancestor gods. The ancestors of the past and future were already exhausted from repeatedly using the two extreme worlds. At this time, they were unable to resist and were swallowed up by the blood-colored sword storm. Their souls and world essence were all sucked into Long Chen's ruin of time. As for the Blood Demon Grandmaster, he still wanted to turn into billions of blood demon doppelgangers to escape. However, the violent blood-devouring soul's blood-colored sword blade storm devoured everything and swept everything away. It enveloped his billions of blood demon doppelgangers, and in the next moment, he was completely annihilated and annihilated. In the end, the epic Tao ancestor couldn't do anything. Although he used the epic handprint, the handprint that contained the laws of the epic was destroyed by the violent blood-devouring law. Then, he was swept up by the sword storm and couldn't escape. His soul and world origin were all swallowed into the ruin of time. The last 5 great ancestor gods had all perished under Long Chen's bloodlust sword. The black aura on the 5 great ancestor gods had no place to attach itself to. It could only condense into the original form of the giant fiend god beasts not far away. Their bodies were as huge as the starry sky, occupying the void. Even time seemed to slow down around them. The giant god-fiend beast finally revealed its true form after devouring Xiaolang. Xiaolang, you have to hold on. Long Chen stared at the gigantic celestial beast and thought to himself. Mo Xiaolang wasn't weak after all. Although he was swallowed by the gigantic celestial beast, it wouldn't have the time to digest Mo Xiaolang in such an intense battle. Originally, Mo Xiaolang had sacrificed his life to buy time for Long Chen. Now, Long Chen was going to hold the giant celestial beast back for Mo Xiaolang, so that the giant celestial beast would not have the chance to digest Mo Xiaolang. As long as Long Chen could defeat the giant celestial beast before that happened, Divine Demon Lord, I'll take your life. Long Chen approached the gigantic god-fiend beast and transformed into the primordial spiritual blood dragon. Compared to the gigantic body of the gigantic god-fiend beast, he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage at all. Clearly, his aura was more majestic, and his killing intent surged, filling the entire void. That's good too. I can see how powerful the ancestral dragon's inheritance is. You're not much different from the primordial spiritual blood dragon from before the epic, right? Not bad, not bad. The gigantic god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. Its body suddenly expanded, and a black aura appeared from the void around it. Soul-devouring beast, devour him. The gigantic god-fiend beast controlled the 8 soul-devouring beasts to attack Long Chen at the same time. At the same time, it used its devouring rule power on Long Chen. As one of the powerful divine lords of the sky-devouring tribe, the gigantic god-fiend beast's devouring rule power had long reached the peak. It could kill and devour everything. It wanted to see if it could devour Long Chen, who had transformed into the primordial spiritual blood dragon. Brutal blood hell? Long Chen was very patient, but in the end, he was unable to attack the soul-devouring beasts. He could only continue to use the violent blood hell and trap the 8 soul-devouring beasts in a hell of slaughter, temporarily controlling them. Thousand Calamity Blood River. Then, Long Chen held the bloodlust sword and the primordial bone sword tightly in his hands. He formed a 1,000 Calamity Blood River that broke through the void and time, instantly breaking the gigantic god-fiend beast's devouring rule power. You haven't fully recovered yet, and you want to kill me? That's your biggest mistake. Long Chen's eyes were bloodshot. The gigantic god-fiend beast's huge body was reflected in his blood-red pupils. Even if I haven't fully recovered, it won't be that easy for you to kill me, right? The gigantic god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. It wanted to use other methods to attack Long Chen. However, at that moment, a majestic devouring rule power suddenly appeared in its stomach. It instantly formed a devouring vortex and attacked the gigantic god-fiend beast from within. Xiao Lang. Long Chen's face lit up with joy. He hadn't expected the wolf cub to be able to attack the giant celestial beast after it had devoured it. Although the strength of the wolf cub's attack was much weaker than when it was outside, it was still enough to distract the giant celestial beast. Violent blood-devouring soul? Kill! 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 Long Chen's bloodlust sword exploded. Taking advantage of the perfect opportunity that Mo Xiaolang had created for him, he swung a blood-colored blade storm and descended in front of the gigantic god-fiend beast. The gigantic god-fiend beast was trying to suppress Mo Xiaolang in its stomach. After all, Mo Xiaolang had already been devoured by it. Mo Xiaolang couldn't even use 10% of its strength and posed no threat to it. However, at that moment, Long Chen's killing move arrived. The primordial blood spiritual dragon's body and the bloodlust sword's world source pierced the gigantic god-fiend beast's stomach with a blood-colored sword light. The tyrannical and terrifying power of the law of massacre instantly cut a hole in the gigantic god-fiend beast's stomach. Accompanied by a devouring vortex, the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into broke out of the gigantic god-fiend beast's stomach and finally rushed out. The sun-devouring demonic wolf was already very weak. However, in comparison, the gigantic god-fiend beast's stomach had been cut open by Long Chen. Its injuries were even more severe and it no longer had the strength to fight Long Chen head-on. Ah! Long Chen, count yourself lucky. The gigantic god-fiend beast roared angrily. It opened its mouth and swallowed the 8 soul-devouring beasts back into its stomach. Just as Long Chen was about to continue forward and kill the gigantic god-fiend beast, the gigantic god-fiend beast's body once again dispersed after swallowing the 8 soul-devouring beasts. It turned into countless life particles that scattered throughout the infinite worlds. Long Chen held the bloodlust sword, but he didn't know where to swing it. He was momentarily at a loss. The gigantic god-fiend beast had run away again. Although he had rescued Mo Xiaolang, it was difficult to save the lives of the other ancestral gods. Moreover, the billions of chaotic gods in the chaotic divine realm had all been destroyed. Long Chen, this battle is temporarily over. Li Xuanji sighed in Long Chen's divine kingdom and said to Long Chen. The gigantic god-fiend beast had turned into life particles. For the time being, there was no way to get rid of it completely. As a result, Long Chen was very depressed. The thing he hated the most was not being able to take revenge. This gigantic god-fiend beast had brought so many disasters to the infinite worlds, but he still couldn't kill it in the end. It was intolerable. Big brother, since it has run away, we have plenty of opportunities in the future. Let's deal with the aftermath first. Chaotic Divine Realm? Mo Xiaolang approached and persuaded Long Chen. Chapter 37-21. Long Chen finally calmed down. He knew very well that he still didn't have the ability to completely kill the Divine Demon Lord. No matter how angry he was, it was useless. He might as well think about how to deal with the current myriad worlds. I've devoured the Chaos Ancestor God's world source into the ruins of time. I'll resurrect the Chaos Gods first. Long Chen calmed down and soon knew what he had to do. After this battle, the myriad worlds had suffered heavy losses, especially since all the Fourth Era's primordial ancestor gods had been killed, and they had died at Long Chen's hands. Although it was impossible for Long Chen to force the Divine Demon Lord out if he didn't kill these ancestor gods, he still felt a sense of sorrow. Fortunately, the souls and world essences of the elder gods he had slain with the explosive blood soul devour technique still existed. It was possible that he could find a way to revive them. Now, the most important thing for Long Chen was to resurrect the billions of living beings in the entire Chaos Divine Realm. Since the battle had just ended, and there was still the Chaos Ancestor God's world source, the Chaos Nine-Colored Lotus, it was still possible to resurrect the Chaos Gods. After a while, Long Chen turned into a Tai Chi living dragon. The creation and life laws drifted out from the life ring and enveloped the entire ruins of the Chaos Divine Realm. Billions of Chaos Gods were resurrected by Long Chen and transferred to the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. Now that the Chaos Divine Realm was destroyed, the many living beings of the Chaos Gods could only live on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. Long Chen opened up another space for them to live in. Fortunately, Long Chen had already stepped into the realm of the Fourth Era's origin ancestor god in terms of the law of massacre, which made the entire Dragon Sacrificial Continent bigger than before. It was more than enough to fuse with the living beings of the Chaos Divine World. However, although billions of living beings of the Chaos Gods were resurrected, most of them were still quite panicked because the Chaos Ancestor God had been killed. All of the ancestral gods of the Fourth Era, including the chaotic ancestral god, were annihilated in the battle between the Sacred Lord and the Sacred Lord. Although their respective worlds were not destroyed, the living beings in those worlds seemed to have lost their faith and support after losing their ancestral gods. A sense of panic spread across the myriad worlds. This caused Long Chen, Lingxi, Li Xuanji, Mo Xiaolang, and the others to gather together and start discussing the matter of resurrecting the Fourth Era's primordial ancestor god. To the myriad worlds, this was the most urgent matter at hand. The god-fiend Holy Lord was temporarily reduced to life particles, so there was no way to deal with him. Thus, Long Chen had to take this opportunity to try and resurrect the Fourth Era's ancestral god. Right now, the souls of the 14 ancestral gods are in the ruins of time. They are in a special state, similar to a deep sleep. Long Chen explained the current situation. Then, can we directly send them back to their world's origin? That way, we might be able to revive. Mo Xiaolang suggested. That's a way. I'll give it a try. Long Chen nodded and began to try according to Mo Xiaolang's suggestion. The souls of the 14 Fourth Era's primordial ancestor gods were in a state similar to a deep sleep in the ruins of time. Long Chen tried to guide their souls into their respective world's origin, but he found that he could not do it. The souls of the Fourth Era's primordial ancestor gods seemed to be in a deep sleep. They could not feel the existence of their world's origin at all, so it was even more impossible for them to merge into it and be resurrected. This caused a lot of trouble for Long Chen. Chen, didn't you say that the ancestral life can merge with the ancestral origin? Could it be that only the ancestral life can merge with the ancestral origin? And the Fourth Era's primordial ancestor gods can't merge with their world's origin because they are not ancestral life forms? Lingxi suddenly said. I don't know either. This question can only be answered by asking the ancestral life forms. But now, there are no ancestral life forms in the infinite worlds. Even the 4 ancestral divine armaments have been devoured by the divine demon Sacred Lord to recover his strength. Long Chen also thought of this possibility, but he could only shake his head. He had no way of finding the ancestral life forms now. After all, the divine demon Sacred Lord was still in the infinite worlds and had turned into life particles. Long Chen did not want to take any more risks. Until the divine demon Sacred Lord was completely killed, he would not move around casually, nor could he go to the primordial world to ask the other ancestral life forms. Otherwise, if he was not careful, the divine demon Sacred Lord would seize the opportunity and bring irreparable damage to the infinite worlds. Let's think of another way. Long Chen shook his head. This method was not going to work. He had to think of another way. What he didn't know was that the divine demon Sacred Lord did not feel good even though he had turned into life particles. He was using a special method that belonged to the Sky-Swallowing Race Sacred Lord to contact the other 7 Sky-Swallowing Race Sacred Lords that were sealed in the primordial world. I'm injured. Let me go to the primordial world. The divine demon Sacred Lord sent a message to the other 7 Sky-Swallowing Race Sacred Lords. If you come, you will not be able to return to the infinite worlds. How will you obtain the ancestral dragon's essence blood? The seven sky-swallowing race sacred lord's message was very cold. There was no emotion in their tone. Believe me, Long Chen will definitely enter the primogenitor's world with me because he wants to know how the primogenitor life forms control the ancestral root and save the fourth epoch's primordial ancestral gods. Also, his 8 dragon attendants have been refined into soul-devouring beasts by me. The divine demon's sacred lord was very confident. After receiving the message from the divine demon's sacred lord, the 7 sky-swallowing race sacred lords that were sealed in the primordial world paused for a moment. After a while, a cold word came, okay. The divine demon's sacred lord was from the sky-swallowing race. Of course, he couldn't be like Long Chen and go to the primordial world through the origin grounds of the god dragon. He had to use a special method to enter the primordial world. There was only one chance. If one wanted to leave the primordial world and go to the infinite worlds, only those with the essence blood could pass through. Therefore, once the divine demon's sacred lord entered the primordial world and couldn't obtain the essence blood, he basically couldn't return to the infinite worlds. However, he was very confident in his judgment. Long Chen would definitely go to the primordial world with him. Just as the 7 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race agreed to take the sacred lord into the primordial world, threads of power from the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race passed through the seal and arrived outside the beehive in the nest of the ancestral god dragons. Although they were sealed, some of their power could leak out after such a long time. A thread of power came out from the 7 caves and turned into the shape of 7 giant beasts. One of them looked like a chaotic sky-swallowing dragon, and one was in the shape of the dragon-devouring sacred lord. The other 5 were just balls of shadows. It was hard to see what they looked like. One of the balls of shadows was extremely large and had the most oppressive aura. Although it was only one ball of shadow, it made people feel as if it was going to devour the world. The final battle was almost over. There were less than 20 days left. Please support the new book, Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles. Chapter 37-22. The 7 sky-swallowing clan divine lords, including divine lord devouring dragon and the chaotic sky-swallowing dragon, sent a portion of their power through the seal barrier and gathered outside the beehive. Then, the shadows of the 7 beasts slowly fused together, forming a gigantic shadow of a beast. It was so huge even in the primogenitor's world. If it went to the infinite worlds, it could support an original grade world. As soon as the shadow of the giant beast appeared, it opened its huge mouth and bit down on a part of the primogenitor world. A terrifying and boundless devouring power surged out and completely devoured that part of the primogenitor world. This was the power of the 7 sky-swallowing clan divine lords. They relied on a bit of power that could pass through the seal barrier to join forces and devour the space in the primogenitor's world. Furthermore, after devouring this part of the void, a scene of the dragon sacrificial continent and the myriad worlds actually appeared in the void. With a single bite of this gigantic beast, it actually chewed through the barrier between the 2 worlds. The primogenitor's world and the dragon sacrificial continent were originally only connected by the origin of the divine dragon and the lair of Zulong. But now, another gap had appeared. It was created by the combined power of the 7 sky-swallowing clan divine lords. This gap did not exist forever. Instead, it began to shrink as soon as it appeared. We can't use enough power. This is our limit. Giant divine demon beast, return quickly. The voices of the 7 sky-swallowing clan divine demon lords passed through the barrier between the 2 worlds to the divine demon lord who was still in the infinite worlds. The divine demon lord did not hesitate at all. He had already spread through the entire infinite worlds by turning into life particles. At this moment, he immediately gathered countless life particles at the gap between the 2 worlds. Then, he reappeared in the form of the giant divine demon beast. He did not stop and charged toward the gap between the 2 worlds created by the 7 sky-swallowing clan divine lords. Just as the gap was about to shrink, he stepped into the primogenitor's world from the dragon sacrificial continent where the infinite worlds were. The crack in the world quickly disappeared after the demonic god beast passed through, as if it had never been there. The recovery ability of the barrier of the world was just too strong. Even though the 7 sky-devouring race sacred lords could open the tunnel once, it only lasted for a short while before it was sealed. Furthermore, they had already used up all the energy they had to break through the barrier. It was because of this that sacred lords only had one chance to come to the primogenitor's world. If they wanted to wait for the next time, they would have to wait for an extremely long time. Only then would the 7 sky-swallowing clan holy lords be able to accumulate enough power to chew a path through the barrier between the two worlds. Of course, most of the divine demon holy lords, including the 7 sky-devouring race holy lords, decided to use this chance to decide the outcome. The divine demon holy lords had entered the primogenitor's world. Once Longchen followed, they would have the chance to obtain the ancestral dragon's blood essence and break the seal. The demonic god beast passed through the gap between the two worlds and came to the primogenitor's world. He appeared near the ancestral mystical dragon's nest and immediately saw the few ancestral lifeforms that were still guarding the giant beehive. Among them, there were 2 ancestral Kuan Pengs, Peng 1 and Peng 2. Peng 1 was the ancestral lifeform with the heaven-devouring flame of primal chaos in its body. These ancestral life forms had already sensed something was wrong when the 7 sky-swallowing clan holy lords worked together to form the shadow of the giant beast to chew through the barrier of the world. Therefore, they had already turned and fled. Unfortunately, their speed was too slow compared to the giant god-fiend beasts. Great! Delicious ancestral life forms. I'm injured. As long as I devour all of you ancestral life forms, I can completely recover to my peak. Then, that brat Longchen will follow and I can give him a taste of the surprise. The demonic god beast was extremely happy. To him, the ancestral life forms were very good nourishment. They could help him recover his strength quickly. There was naturally no reason for him to let go of these ancestral life forms. Quick, contact the other ancestral life forms and deal with this sky-swallowing clan together. Peng 1 and Peng 2 ran away with the other 3 ancestral life forms. They were extremely panicked. They could feel the power of the demonic god beast and knew that they were definitely not its match. If they didn't run now, they would definitely be devoured by the demonic god beast. Only by combining all the remaining ancestral life forms in the ancestral world would they be able to stop this sky-swallowing clan beast. Therefore, they started to run without hesitation. Unfortunately, the demonic god beast holy lord soon caught up to them like a cat chasing a mouse. Where do you think you're going? Kiki, be good and become nourishment for this sacred lord. The gigantic fiend god beast opened its mouth wide, and a devouring power descended, completely swallowing Peng 1's entire body. The other ancestral life forms didn't dare to stay after seeing this. They instantly sped up, but unfortunately, they still couldn't escape the demonic god beast's mouth. We are also not strong enough. Leave some ancestral life forms for us. The voices of the other 7 sky-swallowing clan holy lords reached the demonic god beast's ears. Don't worry, I won't devour all of them. I just need to recover to my peak state. That's about it. 10 ancestral life forms is enough. The demonic god beast bit down and swallowed Peng 2 again. It said savagely and looked at the other ancestral life forms that were running away. The demonic god beast is gone. Long Chen had been thinking about how to go to the primogenitor's world while preventing the god-fiend beasts from destroying the infinite worlds. He wanted to ask the primogenitor lifeforms how they had entered the ancestral source and fused with it. But very soon, he realized that the life particles of the behemoth gods and demons that had spread across the infinite worlds had suddenly disappeared. Long Chen sensed that the dragon sacrificial world seemed to have been torn open, and a trace of the primogenitor's world's presence leaked out. The demonic god beast holy lord should have gone to the ancestral world. Should we follow immediately? Mo Xiaolang asked. Chapter 37-23. Xiao Lang, Kitten, and the others felt that Long Chen's decision was right. Although the giant celestial fiend beasts would definitely devour the other primogenitors after entering the primogenitor's world, even if Long Chen entered now, he wouldn't be able to kill all the giant celestial fiend beasts. On the contrary, the other sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan might have some means to trap Long Chen and use Long Chen's inherited essence blood to break the seal. This was a possibility that Long Chen had to consider. Therefore, if he wanted to be absolutely safe, he had to raise his strength to the peak and step into the realm of the fourth era's origin ancestor god. This was what Long Chen needed to do now. As long as Long Chen could cultivate 6 worlds' origins in all aspects and step into the realm of the fourth era's origin ancestor god, his true battle strength would improve in all aspects. Even a fully recovered celestial fiend's sacred lord wouldn't be a match for Long Chen. Let's start cultivating now. I need to improve myself as soon as possible and set off as soon as possible. I hope that the primogenitors in the primogenitors world can hold on for a while longer under the attack of the celestial fiend's sacred lord. It's hard for me to save them even if I go there now. After discussing with everyone, Long Chen prepared to step into the Tower of Time and build a stable world with accelerated time flow. As Long Chen cultivated 6 worlds' origins in the slaughter rule and stepped into the realm of the fourth era's origin ancestor god, his understanding of the time rule was much stronger than before. It was even infinitely close to the level of the void cosmic dragon. Therefore, Long Chen could build a stable world on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time. The time flow here was 10 times faster than that on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, which was equivalent to 100,000 times faster than that of the myriad worlds. This rule for building a stable world was known as the high-speed time domain. Unlike ordinary changes in time, this was a permanent change in time. In the past, the Third Era's void astral dragon had built a similar world. In this way, the actual time that Long Chen spent cultivating in this high-speed time domain would be 10 times less than before. This was very good news for the 10,000 realms, because Long Chen could improve his cultivation level faster, and thus eliminate the sky-devouring clan that threatened the entire 10,000 realms. Everything would have to depend on Long Chen's cultivation next. On the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, in the high-speed time realm, 1 day in the outside world was equal to 100,000 days in the high-speed time realm, which reached an unprecedented high. Long Chen constantly cultivated within the time domain. Aside from the massacre law, there were 6 other major laws. They were the time law, the fate law, the great desolate calamity law, the illusion law, the life law, and the karma law. After he cultivated the massacre law to the 6th world's origin, it became much easier for him to improve the other 6 major laws. However, it still took him a considerable amount of time. Each law had different difficulties. It would take Long Chen 10,000 to 20,000 years to cultivate the origin of the 6th world's origin and step into the realm of the original ancestor god of the 4th era in that aspect. When Long Chen cultivated all the 7 ancestor dragon laws that he had mastered to the realm of the original ancestor god of the 4th era, 100,000 years had passed in the high-speed time domain. In other words, 1 year had passed in the 10,000 realms. During this period, Long Chen had fully stepped into the realm of the original ancestor god of the 4th era. His strength had metamorphosed once again, and his overall look was completely new. To put it simply, the current Long Chen's overall strength was comparable to the combined strength of the 7 ancestor dragons. Because of this, even the 3rd era's original ancestor realm void dragon and the previous era's chaotic heaven devouring dragon might no longer be a match for Long Chen. It was absolutely unimaginable how powerful the fusion of the 7 ancestor dragon laws could be. In the high-speed time domain, Long Chen familiarized himself with and tried to fuse the 7 major laws of the 4th era's original ancestor god. After discovering some new uses, he left the Tower of Time. The final battle was about to begin. It had been a year since the giant celestial beasts left the dragon sacrificial world where the 10,000 realms were and went to the ancestor world. Long Chen knew that he could not delay any longer. Otherwise, if the ancestor lives were devoured by the giant celestial beasts, Long Chen would have no one to ask. He also wanted to know how the ancestor world fused with the ancestral source and tried to revive the 4th era's original ancestor gods like the Chaos Ancestor and the Destiny Ancestor. In addition, the 8 dragon servants had been refined into soul-devouring beasts by the giant celestial beasts. As time passed, Long Chen was afraid that their souls would undergo some unknown changes. Therefore, it was almost time to set off. Long Chen made the decision. At this moment, the billions of living beings and celestial demon venerables in the 10,000 realms had roughly understood the specific situation. They were all very clear that when Long Chen came out of the Tower of Time, it would be the time for the final battle. If Long Chen won and defeated all the sky-devouring clan holy lords, the entire 10,000 realms would usher in a golden age. It would be an age full of peace and tranquility, far away from fatal disputes and wars. If Long Chen lost, then the entire 10,000 realms, the dragon sacrificial continent, billions of living beings, and countless worlds would become the food of the sky-devouring clan holy lords. The world would collapse. Except for Long Chen, no one in the 10,000 realms had the strength to resist the sky-devouring clan holy lords. And now, Long Chen carried the hopes of billions of living beings and celestial demon venerables in the 10,000 realms. Long Chen, it's time to set off. Ancestor God Pangu and the other gods of the 5th era all came to Long Chen at this moment. Accompanying these ancestor gods were some other relatively powerful living beings and celestial demon venerables. They all looked at Long Chen and pinned their hopes on Long Chen. After the previous period of panic, the death of the ancestor god of the 4th era had been accepted by billions of living beings and replaced with hope for Long Chen. As long as Long Chen could succeed, perhaps the 4th era gods could still be resurrected. Moreover, they could get rid of all the sky-devouring clan holy lords once and for all, resolving the greatest crisis for the 10,000 realms. This would be an unprecedented battle, a battle that would determine the life and death of the 10,000 realms. When Long Chen came out of the Tower of Time, he saw Mo Xiaolang, Kitten, Lingxi, Li Xuanji, Sui Yan, and the others, as well as his children. They were all here. The moment before the final battle, everyone gathered and focused on Long Chen. I want to go with you. Lingxi's gaze became very firm. No matter what, she wanted to experience this battle with Long Chen. This was the final battle. If they succeeded, she wanted to share it with Long Chen. If they failed, she couldn't live on alone. For the dragon sacrificial world, set off. Please support Madman's new book, Heaven-Devouring Chronicles. It's very popular, nearly 3 million views in 10 days. Chapter 37-24. Long Chen had already expected Lingxi's request, so he wasn't surprised and nodded in agreement. Apart from Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang and Li Xuanji also wanted to follow. Lingxi is going, how can I miss out? Li Xuanji's words were hard to refuse. I've been fighting with you for so long. If I'm not in this final battle, it will be my lifelong regret, Mo Xiaolang said with conviction. I want to go too, boss. Even Kitten jumped out and said he wanted to follow. Facing everyone's strange gazes, Kitten said matter-of-factly, what are you all looking at? Even if I'm watching from Boss's holy kingdom, I want to join this final battle. I want to see Boss slaughter those sky-swallowing clan scums with my own eyes. What if Long Chen loses? Someone asked. If he loses, does it matter where I am? Kitten asked back. Long Chen waved his hand and said, no need to say more. Since Kitten wants to go, then come with us. And Xiao Lang, Xuanji, Lingxi, the 3 of you are my powerful helpers now. Long Chen, be careful. You must be wary of the sky-swallowing clan holy lord. Ancestor god Pangu walked forward, his expression extremely solemn. I will do my best. Don't worry. Long Chen nodded solemnly too. This was the final battle. If things went wrong, it might be a life-or-death battle. It would decide the survival of all worlds. Everyone's hearts were heavy. Seeing Long Chen and the others turn and leave, their silhouettes contained an indomitable aura that shocked everyone. This was Long Chen and his friends. For the myriad worlds, for the billions of lives, they were willing to give up their lives to fight against the incomparably powerful sky-devouring clan Holy Lord. Even if they died, they would not retreat even half a step. A wave of excitement enveloped the surroundings, spreading through the hearts of everyone. As they watched Long Chen leave, everyone felt their blood boil. They really wanted to follow Long Chen and participate in this battle. However, they knew that their combat power was too insignificant compared to Long Chen and the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. If they followed Long Chen, they would be of no use. They wouldn't even be able to restrain the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. Very quickly, Long Chen and the others disappeared from everyone's sight. They were heading towards the origin grounds of the Ancestor Divine Dragon. Ancestor God Pangu stayed where he was for a long time. Then, he waved his hand and said, "Everyone, go back and prepare for battle. If Long Chen fails, we will make the sky-swallowing clan pay the price even if it costs our lives. Of course, we believe that Long Chen can defeat the sky-swallowing clan. Wait at home." When all the ancestor gods of the 4th era perished, the remaining ancestor gods of the 5th era would be the strongest. Ancestor God Pangu's words held absolute power. While Long Chen was heading to the primogenitor's world for the final battle, the myriad worlds absolutely could not fall into chaos. This was what Ancestor God Pangu had promised Long Chen. He absolutely could not allow Long Chen to be distracted. This battle must be won. Long Chen entered the origin grounds of the Ancestor Divine Dragon. The other 4, including Kitten, Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Xiao Lang, were all in Long Chen's God Kingdom. This time, Long Chen was familiar with the route. He headed towards the Ancestor world as fast as he could. After returning to the Ancestor world, we must first find the other Ancestor life forms. I hope they have not been completely devoured by the Divine Demon Lord. I must ask them how the Ancestor life forms entered the Ancestor source to try and revive the Ancestor gods of the 4th era, Long Chen said to everyone. No one had any objections to this plan. After entering the primogenitor's world, they didn't know where the demon god's sacred lord was or if there were any traps. While searching for the primogenitor's life, they could observe the overall situation. If they fell into a trap, it wouldn't be fun. Therefore, searching for the ancestor life forms was Long Chen's first task after returning to the Ancestor world. Soon, he passed through the origin grounds of the Ancestor world and arrived at the Ancestor world again. In this Ancestor world, time seemed to have no meaning. This was a very strange feeling, and it showed the difference between the Ancestor world and other worlds. Eye of Life Origins. Long Chen opened the Eye of Life Origins. Because he had cultivated the life law to the 6th world's origin, he had stepped into the 4th era's origin Ancestor God realm. The Eye of Life Origins could observe further than before. This was the main method Long Chen used to obtain information. Although he was searching for the primogenitor's life, Long Chen could not separate from Ling Shi and the others. Otherwise, it would be very easy for accidents to occur. Therefore, Long Chen could only start searching everywhere. Although he had the stronger Eye of Life, it would still take some time to completely search the entire primogenitor's world. There aren't any primogenitor life forms near us, but I can feel the aura of a battle. The aura of the devouring law has almost covered the entire primogenitor world. It seems like the Divine Demon Lord caused a huge commotion here. Long Chen quickly discovered this. Then, he started moving in other directions and continued using the Eye of Life Origins to explore. Before long, Long Chen approached the Ancestor Divine Dragon's lair. His Eye of Life Origins could already see the situation near the huge beehive from afar. The giant god-fiend beast is indeed at the Ancestor Divine Dragon's lair. Moreover, his strength has actually recovered to the level of the 3rd era. It seems like he has completely recovered. Fortunately, I have stepped into the 4th era's Ancestor God realm. Otherwise, I might not have been able to deal with him. Long Chen did not plan to alert the giant god-fiend beast after finding it. He quickly withdrew the Eye of Life Origins to prevent the giant god-fiend beast from sensing it. This brief moment of exploration did not alarm the giant god-fiend beast. The giant god-fiend beast was still guarding the huge beehive. Immediately afterward, Long Chen started searching the entire ancestor world for traces of the other ancestor life forms. He could tell from the giant god-fiend beast's state that it had probably devoured many ancestor life forms in the ancestor world. However, it could not have devoured all of them. This was because Long Chen could still occasionally detect traces of the ancestor life form's movements with the Eye of Life Origins. Let's find them first and ask about the ancestor life forms and the ancestor source. If we can revive the fourth era's ancestor god, then we can definitely crush the giant god-fiend beast if we work together. Long Chen said to everyone. Everyone expressed their agreement and started running around in search of the remaining ancestor life forms. Chapter 3725. About half a month after Long Chen returned to the primogenitor world, he finally found the remaining primogenitor life forms. 7 primogenitor Qilins and 7 primogenitor phoenixes. Because they had gathered together, even a divine demon lord wouldn't be able to easily devour them, so they had survived until the end. In the entire primogenitor world, there were only 14 primogenitor life forms left. They hid in a corner of the primogenitor world and gathered together, obviously avoiding the pursuit of the giant god-fiend beast. When Long Chen found them, they all acted as though they were facing a great enemy, as though they wanted to fight Long Chen. After all, Long Chen had killed Qi 1 and Phoenix 1. He was a great enemy of their race. However, because of the giant god-fiend beast, the 14 primogenitor lifeforms didn't attack immediately. They were afraid that if they attacked, they would attract the giant god-fiend beast. Are you the only primogenitor lifeforms left? Long Chen sighed when he saw the situation. Yes, but so what? There are 14 of us. It's more than enough to deal with you, Phoenix said warily. Everyone, don't worry. I, Long Chen, don't want to be your enemy. Instead, I want to work with you to fight against the giant god-fiend beast of the sky-swallowing race, Long Chen explained. The giant god-fiend beast's strength isn't something we can fight against. It's too difficult to kill it, even if we work together. Qi Tu's expression was very calm. That's just what you think. Long Chen said, the giant god-fiend beast came to the primogenitor world to devour you because it was severely injured by me and my friends in the dragon sacrificial world. That's why it came here to recover its strength. As long as you agree to work with me, it won't be a problem to deal with the giant god-fiend beast. You just need to restrain it from the side. The 14 primogenitor lifeforms were clearly shaken when they heard that. Their hostility toward Long Chen wasn't as intense because they knew that the biggest problem they faced wasn't Long Chen, but the giant god-fiend beast. As long as the god-fiend beasts didn't die, they wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Moreover, although the giant god-fiend beast doesn't seem to be interested in you at the moment, once I lose the battle with the giant god-fiend beast and obtain the ancestral dragon's essence blood in me, he will definitely release the other sky-swallowing clan holy lords. At that time, whether it's the primogenitor's world or the infinite worlds outside, they will all belong to the sky-swallowing clan. Everything will be devoured by them. Long Chen continued, this is not an exaggeration. From what the demonic god beasts have done, you should know that if the other sky-swallowing race holy lords come out, you ancestors will be the first to bear the brunt of it. You will die for sure. The hearts of the primogenitors wavered even more. However, you killed Qi Yi and Huang Yi. With this hatred, it will be very difficult for us to believe you unless you can prove to us that everything you said is true. Huang Er stared at Long Chen as he spoke. I can't prove it, and I don't need to. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. In any case, I will be fighting the giant god-fiend beast soon. However, Long Chen shook his head and said calmly, if I really lose, all of you won't be able to live either. If all of you aren't willing to follow me to deal with the giant fiend god beasts, then I have a question to ask all of you. How did your primogenitor fuse with the ancestral source? Long Chen explained the situation of the Fourth Era's primordial ancestral gods. If I can save these Fourth Era's primordial ancestral gods, I won't need your help to deal with the giant god-fiend beast, Long Chen added. These words made the 14 primogenitors look at each other and shake their heads. I'm afraid that only the primogenitors can transfer the origin of the world and the ancestral soul to the origin of the world. Other lifeforms can't do this. Therefore, your friends from the fourth era's primordial ancestral gods won't be able to revive through this method. Huang Er shook his head. I see. Long Chen's face sank slightly. This really couldn't be considered to be good news to him. Because the ancestral gods of the fourth era couldn't be revived, and it represented that his combat strength in this aspect had decreased greatly. Most importantly, those ancestral gods of the fourth era had perished at Long Chen's own hands. This made him feel guilty. If he could revive them, everything would be fine. However, if he couldn't, it would be a huge blow to Long Chen. Fortunately, even if the fourth era's primordial ancestral gods couldn't revive through this method, there was still hope. After all, their souls and the origin of the world were still around. If he could find the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon, there was still a chance to revive them. Since that's the case, I will take my leave. Are you sure you don't want to follow me to fight the God-fiend Holy Master? That giant God-fiend beast has 8 soul-devouring beasts. If you want to help, you just need to restrain the 8 soul-devouring beasts. I will deal with the giant God-fiend beast alone. Long Chen asked before he left. It seemed like he didn't care, but in reality, he really wanted the help of these primogenitors. Of course, he also knew that he had killed Qi Yi and Huang Wen. These 14 primogenitors were of the same race. It was reasonable for them to be wary. Wait. Huang Er and the others exchanged glances. They understood each other's intentions. Long Chen, we are willing to help you fight against the Sky-Devouring clan's giant beast. However, you must promise us one thing. After the battle, if we win, you must bring us away from the primogenitor's world. The 14 primogenitors stared at Long Chen and waited for Long Chen's reply. Long Chen finally smiled. If we win, I will bring you out of the primogenitor's world. This isn't even a condition. As long as you are willing, I can bring you out anytime. Since that's the case, we can go. The other primogenitors have already been devoured by the giant God-fiend beast. We must avenge them and destroy the giant God-fiend beast. Huang Er and Qi Yi said in unison. They led the other 12 primogenitors towards Long Chen. In front of their common enemy, the giant God-fiend beast, the primogenitors finally resolved their hostility towards Long Chen. They were willing to fight the giant God-fiend beast with him. Thank you everyone for your help. When the time comes, all you need to do is to join hands in pairs and restrain the 8 soul-devouring beasts. Additionally, the souls of the 8 soul-devouring beasts are all my seniors. All you need to do is restrain them, and it would be best if you do not kill them. Long Chen explained. All right. The primogenitors nodded. They had been living in fear for too long. Under the threat of the giant God-fiend beast, they had been running for their lives. They didn't want to continue like this. Now that there was a chance to destroy the giant God-fiend beast, they naturally wouldn't give it up. In the worst-case scenario, even if Long Chen failed, they would still be able to easily retreat. To them, the situation couldn't get any worse than it already was. At night, Heaven-Devouring Chronicles would be updated. Madman wanted to write more intricately, so he would update 2 to 3 chapters. If they weren't in a rush, they were prepared to continue on this path. After all, they were going to write about Dragon's Blood. It was obvious that the Dragon's Blood battle was about to begin. Chapter 37-26. After some discussion, Long Chen finally resolved the animosity between the remaining 14 ancestral beings and prepared to join forces to deal with the giant God-fiend beast. 7 ancestral Qilins and 7 ancestral phoenixes. Each of their combat power was equivalent to that of the 4th era's ancestral gods. Together, they were definitely stronger than the 8 soul-devouring beasts of the giant God-fiend beast. As long as they could restrain the 8 soul-devouring beasts, the current Long Chen was confident that he could kill the giant god-fiend beast completely. He wouldn't even be able to escape. Long Chen led the 14 ancestral beings towards the ancestral mystical dragon's lair. They moved in a grandiose and imposing manner. Of course, the giant god-fiend beast noticed them from afar. However, the giant god-fiend beast didn't act rashly. Instead, it waited quietly near the huge beehive, waiting for Long Chen to arrive in front of it. Long Chen, you're finally here. When Long Chen led the 14 primogenitor lifeforms to the vicinity of the huge beehive, the outermost barrier had already been destroyed. The giant demon god beast was like a black shadow that stood in front of the huge beehive, emitting a terrifying aura. Looks like you've been waiting for me for a long time. Long Chen glared at the giant god-fiend beast. His heart was filled with endless hatred towards this sky-devouring clan holy lord. At this moment, it seemed like it was about to explode. The enmity of the destruction of the myriad worlds. Billions of living beings and demons had been devoured. Even Long Chen's family, father, and elders were inextricably linked to this giant god-fiend beast. Long Chen had once wondered when he would be able to kill the giant god-fiend beast. Now, that time had come. Hee hee. Long Chen, you know very well why I've been waiting for you. Today, I must snatch the ancestral mystical dragon's blood essence from you, said the giant god-fiend beast coldly. If you're so capable, come and try. Long Chen didn't waste any words and directly started the battle. At this point, anything else was unnecessary. The simplest and most direct method was to kill the demonic god beast. In the next moment, he was the first to charge at the giant god-fiend beast. At the same time, he had the 14 progenitors watch from afar. Their only duty was to block the soul-devouring beast so that Long Chen could focus on dealing with the giant god-fiend beast. So now, the primogenitors only needed to watch the battle. At the same time, Lingxi, Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji had already left Long Chen's god kingdom. They stayed far away with the 14 progenitors. They were also helping to stop the soul-devouring beast. Only Kitten was still in Long Chen's god kingdom. After all, he was too vulnerable, so it wasn't appropriate for him to come out. Long Chen, you dare to cause trouble for this holy lord. You're very bold. However, this holy lord admires a kid like you. Kiki, if it wasn't for this, I might not have been able to obtain the ancestral dragon's blood essence. The giant god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. His entire body suddenly swelled up. Faced with Long Chen charging towards him, he took the initiative to unleash a powerful nomological technique. Eternal demon suppression, annihilate. From the giant god-fiend beast's gaping mouth, one ancient demon god after another was spat out. These ancient demon gods were all devoured by the giant god-fiend beast in the past. They became a part of the giant god-fiend beast's body and were continuously spat out. In the end, 9,999 trillion ancient demon gods were spat out from the giant god-fiend beast's mouth, covering almost half of the primogenitor world. In the primogenitor world, everything would shrink in size. However, with so many ancient demon gods gathered together, they occupied half of the primogenitor world. It was clear how many there were. So many ancient demon gods that had been devoured and became a part of the giant god-fiend beast appeared and punched at Long Chen. The fist radiance converged into an unprecedentedly sharp attack that wanted to kill Long Chen in one blow. The giant god-fiend beast had now recovered to the level of the third epoch's primordial ancestor god and possessed the strength of its peak. Now that it had displayed the eternal god-fiend suppression law, the giant god-fiend beast was extremely confident in killing Long Chen. If Long Chen hadn't cultivated in the high-speed time domain for a year, he really would have been killed by the giant god-fiend beast's eternal demon suppression law. But now, he had fully stepped into the fourth epoch's ancestral god level and was equivalent to the fusion of 7 primogenitor dragons. His strength was far stronger than before. Long Chen remained calm in the face of the endless fist radiance of the gods and demons. He transformed into the 7 great ancestor dragons, his figure constantly changing between the 7 great ancestor dragons. His form was unpredictable, and the 7 great world source energies revolved around him. Time chains wrapped around his body. The slaughter blood sword, the karma halberd, and the primordial desolate bone sword surrounded him. The psychedelic necklace, the necklace of fate, and the ring of life, the 3 ancestral dragon world origins shone brightly in the air. Chaos origin fate dragon, law, life destruction. Long Chen couldn't hide the anger in his eyes. He couldn't control his killing intent when facing the sacred god-fiend lords. His desire to kill the sacred god-fiend lords was displayed crazily. His true form suddenly transformed into a giant white dragon that soared through the clouds in the void. Surrounded by billions of gods and demons, the dragon's hazy body seemed majestic and majestic. The life destruction law was one of the ultimate laws of the chaos origin fate dragon. This move was used to destroy the lives of the billions of ancient demon gods in the primogenitor world, severing the shackles on them and restoring their original bodies. The billions of ancient demon gods that had been devoured by the giant god-fiend beast had been completely controlled by the sacred god-fiend lord. Even their souls had been completely suppressed. But now, the chaos origin fate dragon had appeared. A white light spread in all directions. The life destruction law power instantly shattered all the shackles on the ancient demon gods. The billions of ancient demon gods seemed to have miraculously obtained a new life. They withdrew their attacks on Long Chen at almost the same time. The life destruction law formed from the billions of fist lights rapidly dissipated under the power of the life destruction law. In the first head-on clash between the behemoth god-fiend and Long Chen used the chaotic Yuan Fate Dragon's fate-shattering law to gain the upper hand, directly suppressing the behemoth god-fiend's aura and attacks. Damn it, the god-fiend giant beast snorted. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed the billions of god-fiends back into his stomach. After all, the billions of ancient demon gods were already a part of its body. Although Long Chen had shattered the shackles of fate, they were still under the ancient demon gods' control. The billions of ancient demon gods were swallowed back into the ancient demon god's mouth. The entire primogenitor world returned to silence. At this moment, Long Chen used this chance to launch a fierce attack on the ancient demon god. Chapter 37-27. Long Chen had originally turned into a Chaos Origin Destiny Dragon, but in the next instant, he turned into a blood-red ancient spiritual blood dragon. The laws of slaughter and blood exploded in the air. Long Chen's laws of slaughter surged as the god-fiend beast swallowed the billions of god-fiends back into its mouth. A bloody aura engulfed the entire area as a brand new law roared out and covered the entire body of the god-fiend beast. Burning of death. The powerful laws of slaughter turned into a limitless power of burning death that ignited the air of death on the god-fiend beast and instantly ignited it. Every living being had an air of death. Even a sacred lord of the sky-devouring race was no exception. At this moment, the air of death on the god-fiend beast was ignited by Long Chen's laws of slaughter. Even the flesh and blood on the surface of the god-fiend beast started to burn. The god-fiend beast's flesh and blood started to evaporate under the power of the burning of death, and it finally started to be injured. This made the god-fiend beast extremely angry, but it also found it hard to believe. The god-fiend's sacred lord had clearly devoured so many ancestral god lifeforms and had completely recovered his strength to the level of an ancestral god from the third era. But now, he was injured by Long Chen. Long Chen, it looks like you haven't been slacking off recently. Your strength has increased so quickly. The god-fiend beast didn't panic. It was just extremely angry. It finally opened its mouth and released the 8 soul-devouring beasts against Long Chen's laws of burning death. The 8 soul-devouring beasts attacked Long Chen with their powerful laws of devouring as soon as they appeared. They attacked together and wanted to defeat Long Chen in one move. Unfortunately, Long Chen was already prepared for the appearance of the soul-devouring beasts. Lingxi, Xiao Lang, Li Xuanji, and the 14 ancestral beings were all prepared. As soon as the 8 soul-devouring beasts appeared, Lingxi, Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji immediately called out to the 14 progenitor lifeforms and immediately attacked. The 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes joined forces with Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji. The power of laws surged majestically, blocking all 8 soul-devouring beasts in the next instant. The soul-devouring beasts were unable to affect the battle between Long Chen and the giant god-fiend beasts. Furthermore, with the absolute advantage in numbers, the soul-devouring beast was completely suppressed. It was unable to break free at all. It was as if it had been imprisoned, unable to threaten Long Chen at all. Because Long Chen was concerned about the souls of the 8 senior dragon servants, he had instructed everyone to not harm the soul-devouring beast. Sacred Lord God Demon Lord, what other methods do you have? Look at the laws of karma. Original sin. Long Chen was calm, and his eyes were filled with hatred toward the giant god-fiend beast. Because the laws of life ignition had already injured the sacred Lord God Demon Lord, he would be able to completely suppress the giant god-fiend beast with this next move. Long Chen's entire body changed into the appearance of the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon. He used the Sword of Judgment on the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon's forehead to condense a destructive sword energy that instantly slashed toward the giant god-fiend beast. The giant god-fiend beast was suppressed step by step after one mistake. It had just used its devouring ability to extinguish the flames of death on its body, so it didn't have the time to block Long Chen's original sin. The laws of karma appeared as the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon slashed down with the Sword of Judgment. The enormous power of karma pierced through the giant god-fiend beast's body and heavily injured it once more. After being injured twice, the giant god-fiend beast's strength was greatly affected, and its aura started to weaken. Since the battlefield was close to the ancestral god dragon's nest, the other 7 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race that were sealed could see the situation. When they saw that the giant god-fiend beast was at a disadvantage against Long Chen and was continuously injured, they instantly panicked. However, they were all sealed and couldn't do anything in this situation. The sliver of power that they could use to pass through the barrier of the world was used to bite through the barrier of the world so that the giant god-fiend beast could enter the ancestral world. Right now, they couldn't affect the situation at all. On the other hand, the 14 ancestral lifeforms on the side, as well as Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji, revealed joyful expressions when they saw that Long Chen had such an overwhelming advantage. It was very easy for them to stall the soul-devouring beast, and the only thing they were worried about was Long Chen's main battlefield. From the looks of it, the situation was very good. In such an ultimate battle, whoever was defeated would perish. There was no other way to choose. The giant god-fiend beast's life aura became extremely chaotic after being injured one after another. First, it was the burning law of death, and then the power of karma and judgment of the original sin penetrated its body, causing it to become extremely weak. Kill. Long Chen had wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill the giant celestial fiend beast. However, the giant celestial fiend beast laughed sinisterly at this moment. Long Chen. Do you really dare to kill this sacred lord? Those 8 soul-devouring beasts have already merged with this sacred lord and are a part of this sacred lord's body. If you kill me, those 8 soul-devouring beasts won't be able to survive, and the souls of your 8 dragon servants will be destroyed along with me. Ha ha ha. The giant god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. Although it was heavily injured, it stared at Long Chen without the slightest bit of worry. It was obvious that it had already figured out Long Chen's personality. As long as the soul-devouring beasts were in its hands, it was equivalent to holding a death exemption medallion. Long Chen wouldn't dare to kill it no matter what. When Long Chen heard this, he immediately calmed down and broke out in a cold sweat. The 8 soul-devouring beasts had actually completely merged with the giant god-fiend beast. Killing the giant god-fiend beast was equivalent to killing the 8 soul-devouring beasts. This was equivalent to killing the souls of 8 dragon servants. This news made Long Chen hesitate. The matter concerned the survival of the 8 dragon servants' souls. Long Chen had no choice but to be cautious. At this stage, he couldn't ignore the survival of the dragon servants' souls. He was pondering if there was any way to let the dragon servants' souls escape from the soul-devouring beasts so that he could save them. At this time, Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji could not help Long Chen make a choice. On the other hand, the 14 progenitor beasts were rather anxious. To them, the survival of the soul-devouring beasts and dragon servants' souls did not matter at all. They only cared about the giant god-fiend beast's life. Long Chen, quickly exterminate the giant god-fiend beast. This soul-devouring beast has long merged with the giant god-fiend beast as one. Whether you kill the giant god-fiend beast or not, it's impossible for your elders to return. Qi Er shouted. That's right. Unfortunately, he won't have the chance. The giant god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. Taking advantage of Long Chen's hesitation, it directly opened its huge mouth and swallowed towards Long Chen, swallowing Long Chen's entire body into its stomach. Chapter 37-28. Taking advantage of Long Chen's moment of hesitation, the god-fiend beast opened its mouth wide and swallowed Long Chen into its stomach. This scene instantly caused everyone in the surroundings to be shocked. The 14 progenitor lifeforms were immediately somewhat flustered. Among them, Qi Er even snorted coldly, "This Long Chen is seriously too indecisive. We've lost a great advantage. It won't be so easy to kill that fiend god beast now." "Don't worry, Chen won't fail just like that," Lingxi said immediately when she saw the 14 primogenitors retreating. If the 14 primogenitors left, it would be much more difficult to stop the 8 soul-devouring beasts. "That's right, I can fuse with him. I can sense that he's still alive, and his situation isn't too bad. Everyone, please hold on for a little longer. The giant fiend god beast won't be able to deal with us right now anyway," Li Xuanji said solemnly, trying to persuade the 14 ancestral life forms to remain calm. "I'll trust you this once." Huang Er nodded her head after some thought. She knew that if they failed this time, they wouldn't be able to succeed the next time. At that time, the primogenitors wouldn't be able to survive. They would be devoured by the sky-devouring race holy lords and become part of their bodies. Long Chen was only being devoured. He might not die, so they still had a chance. They couldn't afford to be careless right now. Otherwise, something irreversible might happen. The 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes continued to work with Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Mo Xiaolang to stop the 8 soul-devouring beasts. At the same time, they watched the battlefield anxiously, worried about Long Chen's situation after he was devoured by the beast. The 7 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race were also watching the battle from within the barrier of the 7 caves of the beehive. They finally let out a breath of relief when they saw the demonic god beast devour Long Chen. The sky-devouring clan's holy leaders understood their own abilities very well. As long as they swallowed a living being, it was very difficult for it to survive. This was because the structure of their stomachs was very special. Because of this, they had the terrifying ability to devour all things. Long Chen was swallowed into the belly of the giant god-fiend god beast, and he was instantly inside its huge stomach. He was surrounded by the giant god-fiend god beast's flesh and blood, and a special pitch-black gastric juice flowed out of its stomach, quickly enveloping Long Chen's entire body. The special black gastric juices were extremely corrosive. They began to corrode Long Chen's body and force out the inherited blood essence in Long Chen's body. They were prepared to use the ancestral dragon's inherited blood essence to break the ancestral dragon seal barrier of the other 7 sky-devouring race holy lords. Long Chen's body was being corroded by the terrifying black gastric juices. His body was severely injured and he wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. If it went any further, the inherited blood essence in his body might really be forced out. At this moment, Long Chen's body suddenly transformed into a Tai Chi spirit dragon. It roared in the giant stomach of the demonic god beast, and the power of the law of life instantly condensed, transforming into the law of glory of life, which completely healed Long Chen's injuries. Long Chen instantly recovered to his peak state. The brilliance of the glory of life had a special restraining effect on the pitch-black gastric juice of the giant god-fiend beast. At the same time, it pierced through the giant god-fiend beast's huge stomach. Long Chen reverted to his original form and escaped from the bloody hole, instantly turning the situation around. Originally, the beast had wanted to force the ancestral dragon's inherited blood essence out of Long Chen's body after devouring him. If it had succeeded, the 7 sky-devouring race holy lords would have been able to break out of their seals. Long Chen alone wouldn't have been its match. However, Long Chen had turned into a Tai Chi spiritual dragon and used the super-powerful glory of life rules. The vitality contained in this rule had even surpassed the standard of a Tai Chi spiritual dragon before the epoch. It allowed Long Chen to break through the seal and escape from the beast's stomach. At the same time, it heavily injured the beast once again. Damn it! Long Chen, you still don't dare to kill me. Otherwise, your dragon servants and elders will all die. The beast said fiercely. Its body was heavily injured, and it could only use less than half of its strength. However, it didn't turn into particles of life and escape, because it couldn't run now. It had to obtain Long Chen's inherited blood essence. It was so close just now. If it could do it again, it would definitely obtain the inherited blood essence and break the ancestral dragon seal barrier of the other sky-devouring race holy lords. I don't dare to kill you. However, you're completely suppressed by me now. I have the advantage. You should be the one panicking. At this moment, Long Chen was extremely calm as he stared at the beast. Holy Lord, if you release my 8 dragon servants, I, Long Chen, promise you that I will only seal you and not kill you. How about that? Long Chen asked. He was trying to figure out a way to see if the giant god-fiend beast had a way to release the souls of the dragon attendants and their elders within the soul-devouring beast. Unexpectedly, the beast laughed coldly. Long Chen, you're too naive. Not to mention that the 8 soul-devouring beasts have already merged with me, even I can't release their souls. Even if I can, do you think I'll believe you? Really? Long Chen's expression darkened. He hadn't expected the beast to really be unable to release the souls of the dragon servants. If that was really the case, then things would be very troublesome. Of course. What benefit would I get from lying to you like this? The beast said coldly. Long Chen, I think you should just obediently hand over the ancestral dragon's blood essence. Stop struggling. Everything is meaningless. The beast's words were obviously nonsense. There was no way Long Chen would willingly hand over the ancestral dragon's blood essence. However, at this moment, a familiar voice entered Long Chen's ears. Long Chen, kill him now. This was the voice of the 8 dragon servants. It was obvious that the 8 dragon servants were currently struggling and suffering unbearable torment in the hands of the soul-devouring beast. Long Chen, only by killing the Holy Lord can we be freed. Don't worry about us, just do it now. The voice of the origin dragon servant continued. The 8 soul-devouring beasts actually began to tremble violently. It seemed like an intense battle was taking place inside their bodies. The Holy Lord was controlling them, while the souls of the 8 dragon servants were resisting. Long Chen gritted his teeth as he watched this scene unfold before him. He couldn't disregard the lives of his 8 dragon attendant seniors and kill the giant fiend god beast, no matter what. Chapter 37-29. Fatal eternity. On one side was the giant god-fiend beast, which had committed the most heinous crimes. On the other side were the 8 dragon servants that Long Chen respected the most. Their lives were now tied together. Long Chen was unable to make up his mind and make a decision, which led to the current stalemate. However, the 8 dragon servants' souls suddenly awakened at this moment and began to fight against the giant god-fiend beast's control. They could no longer break free from the giant god-fiend beast's control, but they could do one thing to eliminate all of Long Chen's hesitation and make Long Chen make up his mind to kill the giant god-fiend beast. That thing was, of course, self-destruction. The powers within the 8 soul-devouring beasts began to clash violently as the two consciousnesses clashed. This caused the 14 nearby primogenitor beasts, as well as Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji to back away in shock. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, the powers within the 8 soul-devouring beasts exploded one after another, causing the destruction of space and time to form a destructive vortex. The 8 soul-devouring beasts had chosen to self-destruct. In this way, the souls of the 8 dragon attendant elders naturally disappeared from this world. They were completely annihilated from this world and no longer existed. Long Chen no longer needed to worry about the safety of the 8 dragon attendant elders. Seniors. Long Chen immediately gritted his teeth when he saw this. He had not expected the 8 dragon servants to be so resolute. In order to let him kill the giant god-fiend beast, they had brazenly fought against the giant god-fiend beast's control and eventually self-destructed. This scene made Long Chen burn with rage. He had originally wanted to kill the giant god-fiend beast, but he had been hesitant because of the dragon servants. Now that the dragon servants had chosen to self-destruct, it was equivalent to helping Long Chen make a decision. Oh no. Seeing this, the giant god-fiend beast knew that it had lost its biggest bargaining chip to restrain Long Chen and wait for an opportunity. In that case, Long Chen would kill it without hesitation. Almost immediately after the 8 soul-devouring beasts self-detonated, the fiend god beast wanted to disperse again and turn into particles of life to avoid being killed by Long Chen. Unfortunately, Long Chen had long wanted to kill him and reacted faster than him. Fatal Eternity. Long Chen transformed into the strongest void cosmic dragon among the 7 ancestral dragon inheritances. He soared through the void of the primogenitor's world, and the time rule that seemed to come from the future and ancient times surged like a stream. At that moment, the time around him stopped completely. A fatal eternity, a fatal instant. At this moment, the sacred Lord God Demon Lord's entire body stopped as time passed. He wanted to turn into particles of life, but he was unable to do so. The giant god-fiend beast's movements were completely frozen by this move, and it was unable to move at all. Good job. The 14 primogenitor lifeforms instantly cheered because they saw hope. The sky-devouring race sacred lord, the giant god-fiend beast that had troubled them for a long time, was finally going to be killed by Long Chen. At this moment, they could easily feel Long Chen's killing intent. Under that killing intent, the sacred Lord God Demon Lord would definitely die. Of course, Long Chen would not disappoint them. The fatal eternal rules and time rules surged and froze the behemoth god fiend in place. It was unable to move. Following that, Long Chen still looked like the void infinity dragon. The chains of time on his massive body condensed into a giant sword in the next moment. Death of time. Long Chen roared, and his killing intent surged. He activated the giant sword of death of time and slashed it at the giant god-fiend beast that had been frozen for eternity. The great sword of time contained boundless time laws. In an instant, it slashed out 300 million times at the giant god-fiend beast. Every slash contained the power of the time laws, causing the giant god-fiend beast's body to suffer even more severe injuries. After 300 million slashes, the giant god-fiend beast's entire body was destroyed by the time laws. The sky-devouring race sacred lord's life was finally extinguished. Giant god-fiend beast, I have fulfilled the oath I made a long time ago. Are you satisfied now that I have slain you with my sword? Long Chen's expression was extremely cold as he watched the giant god-fiend beast's body turn into dust under the giant sword of death of time. In the end, it turned into a pitch-black weapon. This weapon had a strange shape, and it contained the giant god-fiend beast's aura. It was the foundation of the giant god-fiend beast. This strange pitch-black weapon contained all the power that the giant god-fiend beast had devoured in the infinite worlds. Now, it had been slashed out by Long Chen's sword. The giant god-fiend beast had turned into dust, leaving behind only the strange pitch-black weapon. This meant that the sky-devouring race sacred lord had finally been slain. It's over. Li Xuanji sighed softly. This battle had been extremely dangerous. Because of the soul-devouring beast, Long Chen had almost been killed by the giant god-fiend beast and taken away the ancestral dragon's essence blood. However, although Long Chen had slain the giant god-fiend beast in the end, the 8 respected dragon servants had disappeared from this world forever. Following the self-destruction of the 8 soul-devouring beasts, the souls of the 8 dragon attendants that had fused with them were completely annihilated. Not even a trace of them was left in the world. This also meant that the 8 dragon attendants had completely lost their chance of resurrection. They had died even more thoroughly than the 4th era's ancestral gods. Chen, Lingxi came to Long Chen's side. She could tell that although Long Chen had gotten his revenge, he was not in a good mood. Of course, it was because of the death of the 8 dragon servants. Today, including Long Chen's father, Long Qinglan, the 9 dragon servants were all dead. None of them had survived. They had all died in the battle against the sky-devouring race. This made Long Chen's hatred for the sky-devouring race even more intense. Long Chen, you've succeeded. This battle is over. The giant god-fiend beast of the sky-devouring race is finally dead. Qi Air, Huang Air, and the other ancestral life forms rushed over as well. They all heaved a sigh of relief. The god-fiend Holy Lord had chased them for a long time. It could be said that he was the natural enemy of the ancestral life forms. Now that he had died at the hands of Long Chen, it was naturally a cause for celebration. Of course, they could also tell that Long Chen was not in a good mood because of the death of the 8 dragon servants. But this did not affect anything. These ancestral life forms did not have any feelings for the dragon servants. This battle is over. This weapon has gathered the power of the infinite worlds. I will bring it back to the infinite worlds. Who knows, when the power returns to the infinite worlds, it might revive the infinite worlds. Long Chen also knew that the 8 dragon attendant elders could no longer be resurrected, so he calmed himself down and continued to look forward. He looked towards the ancestor mystical dragon's lair. The huge beehive was located in 7 huge caves, where the other 7 holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan were sealed. One day, he would kill all the holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan, just like how he killed the demonic god beasts. But right at this time, Long Chen seemed to feel a strange power spreading out from the huge cavern, giving him a very bad premonition. At 0000 at night, there would be a new chapter of sky-devouring records. Chapter 3730. Long Chen couldn't react in time. He had just realized that something was wrong when Mo Xiaolang, who had been next to him, suddenly went berserk. The laws of devouring and the laws of fire fused together and surged towards Long Chen and the others. Xiaolang, what's wrong? Long Chen looked anxious. He had just defeated the giant god-fiend beast. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. He knew that Mo Xiaolang wouldn't attack for no reason. He must have been controlled by someone. Long Chen, it's nothing. I'm still your brother, Mo Xiaolang. But I'm sorry, I have to attack you now. Mo Xiaolang's voice carried a hint of gloominess, which made everyone feel that something was not right. Long Chen could tell that the current Mo Xiaolang wasn't Mo Xiaolang himself. It was as if he had been controlled by the sky-devouring race's sacred leader. His soul and consciousness had fallen into a deep slumber. Time entanglement. The time chains around Long Chen's body trembled and extended. The laws of eternal time surged and wrapped around the berserk Mo Xiaolang, temporarily restricting his movements. You're one of the sacred leaders of the sky-devouring race. Long Chen said to Mo Xiaolang with a dark expression. Mo Xiaolang's eyes were filled with a dark green light. It was extremely eerie and terrifying. It was enough to show that he was being controlled. Long Chen wasn't the only one attacked by Mo Xiaolang. The other primogenitors, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji were all attacked by Mo Xiaolang. The 14 primogenitor lifeforms immediately used their techniques to block, but they soon realized that they couldn't block it. Only then did they realize that the weird weapon that Long Chen was about to bring back to the 10,000 worlds, the weapon that the sacred lord of the god-demon realm had devoured, had been swallowed by Mo Little Wolf. This meant that Mo Xiaolang had replaced the giant god-fiend beast in his body. His strength was equivalent to an ancestral god of the Third Era. This meant that the current Mo Xiaolang wasn't any weaker than the giant god-fiend beast. In fact, he was even stronger. How is he being controlled? Isn't the giant god-fiend beast dead? Huang Er exclaimed and retreated without thinking. She didn't want to face an ancestral god of the Third Era. If Mo Xiaolang was focused on her, she would be swallowed in an instant. I don't know. It might be one of the remaining 7 sky-swallowing race sacred lords. Long Chen guessed. His expression became extremely solemn. He recalled Lingxi and Li Xuanji back into his god kingdom. Because Mo Xiaolang was being controlled and had the strength of an ancestral god of the Third Era, the situation was too dangerous. Long Chen, you're very smart. I am one of the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer is the ancestor of the Soul Devourer beasts. As long as the sky-swallowing race is weaker than me, I can control them. Your brother, Mo Xiaolang, is a sun-devouring demonic wolf. He can naturally be controlled by me. Using Mo Xiaolang's body, one of the 7 sky-swallowing race sacred lords, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, said. Long Chen, I really didn't expect you to be able to kill a giant god-fiend beast. However, you still don't have any chance of winning against the sky-swallowing race? This Mo Xiaolang is now under my control. I would like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeves. Kill him if you have the ability, TSK 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 TSK. These words kept coming out of Mo Xiaolang's mouth. Long Chen found it hard to believe that his brother, Mo Xiaolang, was being controlled so easily. However, Long Chen knew that the Soul Devourer beast could control all the soul-devouring beasts as long as they were weaker than him. Mo Xiaolang was the sun-devouring demonic wolf's main body. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer couldn't blame Mo Xiaolang for being able to control him. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen said hatefully as he stared at Mo Xiaolang, who was being controlled by the time chains. Thinking about the soul-devouring beast, he thought about the 8 dragon servant seniors who had self-destructed. The hatred and anger in his heart burned again. Not to mention, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was now controlling Mo Xiaolang. Do you want to kill me? Long Chen, come at me. Mo Xiaolang suddenly roared. The power of the law of devouring surged out of his body and shattered the time chains. Then, Mo Xiaolang ignored Long Chen and charged toward the primogenitor lifeforms. Stop. Xiaolang, you and I are brothers. You're Mo Xiaolang, and I'm Long Chen. Long Chen roared as he chased after Mo Xiaolang. He wanted to awaken Mo Xiaolang's consciousness and soul so that Mo Xiaolang could break free from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. If Xiaolang still had a bit of consciousness, he would definitely react and start to fight against Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. However, what disappointed Long Chen was that Mo Xiaolang didn't react at all to his words. All he did was smile coldly as the laws of devouring and fire were unleashed. Mo Xiaolang transformed into a sun-devouring monstrous wolf and swallowed one of the progenitor phoenixes into his stomach in an instant. There was almost no resistance. The difference in strength between the two sides was too big. These ancestral phoenixes had no ability to fight back against Mo Xiaolang's devouring. Long Chen, stop dreaming. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's soul is only second to the first ancestor dragon in the entire world. Apart from the first ancestor dragon, he's definitely number 1. The sky-devouring race that I control? Don't waste your energy trying to wake him up, Kikik. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was extremely smug as he used Mo Xiaolang's sun-devouring demonic wolf body to chase after him. The remaining 13 ancestral phoenixes retreated without hesitation when they saw this and tried to avoid Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's pursuit. Unfortunately, the further they ran, the more Long Chen couldn't help them block Mo Xiaolang. Right now, Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen's speed was almost the same, and Mo Xiaolang didn't need to spend too much time devouring these ancestral gods. Long Chen chased after Mo Xiaolang and wanted to stop Mo Xiaolang, but Mo Xiaolang's speed was extremely fast. He soon caught up to the remaining ancestral phoenixes and swallowed them one by one. Mo Xiaolang's strength as a sun-devouring demonic wolf became stronger and stronger as he continued to devour them. He had almost reached the peak of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, and his aura was even stronger than Long Chen's. Ha ha ha. My strength is extremely strong now. Long Chen, you are no longer my match. Mo Xiaolang finally devoured all the ancestral phoenixes, and Long Chen couldn't stop this process at all. The ancestral phoenixes ran in all directions, and Long Chen couldn't catch up to them or help them. After all the ancestral phoenixes were devoured, the sun-devouring demonic wolf became even stronger than Long Chen. Chapter 37-31. The sun-devouring demonic wolf turned around and faced Long Chen, who was chasing after it. Long Chen, do you know that you're about to die? The sun-devouring demonic wolf's eyes started to glow green under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control, and its aura became cold. Xiao Lang. At this moment, Long Chen could no longer remain calm. After all, he was currently facing his brother, and his brother had actually devoured the lives of his comrades who had just fought alongside him, the 14 primogenitors, and turned them into his own power. I wonder if the things that we went through together can awaken Xiao Lang? Long Chen thought as he stared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf in front of him and said word by word, Xiao Lang, do you remember when we fought against that giant demonic god beast together in the 10,000 worlds? You were devoured by that giant demonic god beast and bought me some time. You're wasting your time. Long Chen, die. Mo Xiaolang smiled grimly. The tyrannical devouring law rumbled, accompanied by the endless burning ancestral fire, which contained a terrifying power that could incinerate the world, time, and space. Long Chen could feel the power contained in the opponent's attack. If he wanted to block it, he would need to use powerful laws. What if he injured Mo Xiaolang? Although Mo Xiaolang was being controlled, he was still Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen's brother. He couldn't be killed. Go. Long Chen made a prompt decision to temporarily avoid the brunt of the attack, and then began to flee into the distance. He didn't want to attack Mo Xiaolang right now, but he couldn't remove Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over Mo Xiaolang, so he could only run away. Long Chen knew that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Mo Xiaolang and wanted to capture Long Chen, obtain the ancestral dragon's blood essence, and release the remaining 7 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race. Therefore, Long Chen couldn't let him have his way no matter what. Now, he kept thinking about how to wake up Mo Xiaolang's dormant consciousness. This was an extremely difficult task. He had tried to use his past experiences to awaken Xiao Lang, but he had failed. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over Mo Xiaolang was much stronger than Long Chen had imagined. Death Spirit Blood Flame. The sun-devouring direwolf was hot on Long Chen's tail, constantly using the ancestral fire laws to block Long Chen's path. However, Long Chen wielded the Slaughter Blood Sword. The slaughter law within it was even denser than the Death Spirit Blood Fire. With a single slash, the law of the Death Spirit Blood Fire was destroyed. Then, he continued to flee. Long Chen started to run around the ancestral world and think of a way. Lingxi and Li Xuanji were protected by Long Chen in his divine kingdom, and they were extremely nervous. Their hatred for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wasn't any less than Long Chen's. Chen, do your best. There will definitely be a way. Lingxi silently cheered for Long Chen. Long Chen ran, and Mo Xiaolang chased. In this period of time, Long Chen kept on using words to try and awaken Xiao Lang, but he found that it was useless. Mo Xiaolang was still tightly controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and he was being chased by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The entire ancestral world was filled with a tense atmosphere. For Long Chen, if he made a mistake right now, it would be the end of 10,000 worlds. Unknowingly, a familiar thing appeared in front of Long Chen. He paused for a moment, then remembered that this was the nest of the ancestral phoenix. Long Chen had been to the nest of the ancestral phoenix before, but he hadn't studied it too much. He didn't have much of an emotion when he came here. However, while Long Chen was dodging another attack from Mo Xiaolang, the terrifying power of laws from the fusion of the two ancestral fires landed on the nest of the ancestral phoenix. The progenitor phoenix's nest instantly exploded under the terrifying nomological attack and turned into ashes. At this moment, Long Chen suddenly felt a familiar aura from the nest of the ancestral phoenix. This aura was like the origin of the world of the ancestral dragon, the origin of the ancestral dragon. The ancestral phoenix's nest exploded, and the dust and smoke dispersed. The first thing Long Chen noticed was a simple bronze-colored pagoda was actually revealed within it, and it contained the energy of the laws of creation, primordial chaos, and creation. They fused together and fused perfectly within the small pagoda. The primordial bronze pagoda. This is the origin of the world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. While Long Chen was shocked, he couldn't help but feel happy. He didn't think that he would be able to find the origin of the world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, the primordial bronze pagoda. Under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into hadn't discovered the existence of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony yet. After all, Mo Xiaolang's perception of the aura of the ancestral dragon was definitely not as sensitive as Long Chen's. Before Mo Xiaolang could react, Long Chen approached as fast as he could and put the primordial bronze pagoda into his divine kingdom. After a closer look, he found that the primordial bronze pagoda didn't contain the origin dragon soul either. Instead, it contained the origins of 6 worlds. The primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was the second ancestral dragon, so it should have had 7 origins. Perhaps because of the long passage of time, one of the origins had disappeared, leaving only 6. If I hadn't destroyed the nest of the ancestral phoenix, I wouldn't have been able to find the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. What a coincidence! Long Chen thought to himself. However, just obtaining the world origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was useless. He had to obtain the origin dragon soul. However, since the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony had placed the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony here, it must have left some clues for Long Chen to find the origin dragon soul. That's right, if the nest of the ancestral phoenix contains the world origin, then what about the nest of the ancestral Qilin? This thought appeared in Long Chen's mind, so he didn't hesitate and headed toward the nest of the ancestral Qilin without any hesitation. The sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into also noticed that something was wrong with Long Chen. It could tell that Long Chen had found something in the nest of the ancestral phoenix, so it immediately chased after him. Long Chen, despair. You will die at the hands of the sky-devouring race. Mo Xiaolang said coldly. This represented the will of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and it wanted to destroy Long Chen's will to fight. However, Long Chen's will to fight was extremely firm, especially against the sky-devouring race. Nothing could shake Long Chen's will to kill the sky-devouring race. Even at the last moment, Long Chen wouldn't give up hope. These words were just like how Long Chen wanted to wake Mo Xiaolang up. It was extremely futile. I've arrived at the nest of the ancestral Qilin. Long Chen kept running, and the distance between him and Mo Xiaolang increased a little. After all, the one running had an advantage. The other party wouldn't know where he was going, so the other party would have to be careful when chasing after him. Long Chen kept moving left and right, and Mo Xiaolang fell behind. He wouldn't be able to catch up in a short period of time. There was still one more chapter for the heaven-devouring record at night. The madman wrote the heaven-devouring record in the morning, the dragon blood in the afternoon, and the heaven-devouring record at night. He didn't rest for the entire day, and he was quite tired. I hope that everyone can support the new book. Come read 17K and give the madman some clicks so that he can climb the rankings. Thank you, everyone. If you don't know how to read the original version, follow the madman's WeChat, Feng Qingyang. Search for Feng Qingyang on WeChat. Chapter 37-32. This time, Long Chen took the initiative to attack the ancestral Qilin's nest. Myriad Tribulation Blood River. Long Chen held the Slaughter Blood Sword and the Primordial Desolate Bone Sword. The two swords merged their laws and released a blood-colored sword light that slashed at the ancestral Qilin's nest. The nests of the ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix weren't very durable. However, who would attack their nests for no reason in the past? If they did, they would probably be chased to death by the ancestral Phoenix and ancestral Qilin. However, the remaining ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix had been devoured by Mo Xiaolang. There was no longer a single ancestral life form left in the ancestral world, so it didn't matter how much Long Chen attacked the ancestral Qilin's nest. The ancestral Qilin's nest was too weak compared to the current Long Chen. Just one move of the Myriad Tribulation Blood River Law completely shattered the ancestral Qilin's nest. Long Chen focused his mind. Indeed, at this moment, the shattered lair actually condensed. Without destruction, there could be no construction. Vaguely, there was a transformation of the rules. That was the origin dragon soul of the primeval sacrificial dragon. It was a dragon soul filled with the primeval aura, containing the three rules of primordial chaos, creation, and primal chaos. As expected, you found the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, the primordial sacrificial dragon. Mo Xiaolang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and chased after Long Chen at the fastest speed. Mo Xiaolang revealed an evil smile when he saw the origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon after Long Chen destroyed the ancestral Qilin's nest. Unfortunately, Long Chen, you won't have the chance to fuse with the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon. Mo Xiaolang smiled darkly as he was controlled. He opened his bloody mouth and swallowed Long Chen. This mouth contained the supreme law of devouring and almost devoured space and time. Everything in its path was annihilated. Long Chen ignored what Mo Xiaolang was saying as he dashed towards the origin dragon soul of the primeval sacrificial dragon and collected it as fast as he could. Got it. Long Chen was delighted when he sensed the nomological power contained in the primordial sacrificial dragon origin soul. However, before he could do anything else, Mo Xiaolang's bloody mouth had already descended and swallowed his entire body. I'm the one who succeeded. The body of Mo Xiaolang's son devouring demonic wolf instantly became bigger, and he revealed a satisfied expression. Under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, he had finally devoured Long Chen. Moreover, the current Mo Xiaolang was even stronger than the giant god-fiend beast from before. The giant god-fiend beast had devoured Long Chen, but Long Chen had torn open its stomach and broken out. The current Mo Xiaolang was something that Long Chen couldn't break open unless Long Chen could fuse with the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon as soon as possible. However, Long Chen had just obtained the world source and origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon. How could he completely inherit the inheritance so quickly? Moreover, the stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was being tempered by endless ancestral flames. It would be extremely difficult for Long Chen to withstand the pressure of the ancestral flames and inherit the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon. As long as we return to the ancestral divine dragon's nest, where the giant beehive is, and absorb the ancestral dragon's blood essence from Long Chen, we will be able to rescue all of our sky-swallowing clan's holy leaders from the seal. When that time comes, our sky-swallowing clan will be able to devour the world. A dark glint appeared in Mo Xiaolang's eyes under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. After devouring Long Chen, it quickly returned to the ancestral dragon's nest. Long Chen was stunned and Mo Xiaolang swallowed the origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon right after he obtained it. However, he didn't panic. The stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, especially Mo Xiaolang's stomach, contained the laws of all kinds of ancestral flames. Several types of ancestral flames surged toward Long Chen the moment he was swallowed. It's the primal chaos heaven-devouring flame. Among the ancestral flames, Long Chen saw a primal chaos heaven-devouring flame. It was the ancestral flame of the ancestral god Kuanpeng. The ancestral flame of Kuanpeng had been devoured by Sacred Lord's soul devouring a long time ago. Now, Mo Shaolang had devoured all of Sacred Lord's soul devouring Sacred Lord's essence and inherited the primal chaos heaven devouring flame. At this point, Mo Shaolang controlled another ancestral flame. Unfortunately, Mo Shaolang was being controlled by Sacred Lord's soul devouring and stood opposite of Long Chen. In the face of the endless ancestral flame's tempering and refinement, Long Chen's body began to experience endless pain. However, he gritted his teeth and endured it. He knew that this was the most critical moment, and he absolutely could not admit defeat here. Hourglass of Destiny. The time chains around Long Chen's body started to move and form an hourglass of destiny next to him. Under the effect of the hourglass of destiny, a portion of the ancestral flames was offset by the hourglass. Even so, the power of the ancestral flames that Long Chen had to endure was still very strong, and his body was in unbearable pain. Under this destructive pressure, Long Chen didn't waste any time. He took out the primordial bronze pagoda and started to merge with the second ancestral dragon's inheritance together with the origin dragon's soul of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos, the power of the three origin laws merged into Long Chen's body continuously. The origin dragon's soul of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was directly absorbed by Long Chen. The origin laws of the three laws started to flash on the primordial bronze pagoda, and it started to cooperate with Long Chen's fusion. Under this destructive pressure, Long Chen's speed of merging with the second ancestral dragon's inheritance wasn't slow at all. The origin laws of the seven worlds in the primordial bronze pagoda were absorbed by Long Chen one by one and merged into his body. The complete inheritance of the second ancestral dragon was quickly inherited by Long Chen. Sacred Lord's soul devouring obviously noticed this situation. I need to speed up. I didn't think that Long Chen's speed of inheriting the second ancestral dragon's inheritance would be so fast. Sacred Lord's soul devouring thought as he controlled the sun devouring demonic wolf that Mo Shaolang had turned into to speed up and return to the ancestral dragon's lair. However, they were still quite far away from the ancestral dragon's lair during the chase, so it was impossible to return immediately. It would take some time. This period of time was Long Chen's chance. The origin laws of the seven worlds that belonged to the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony were merged into Long Chen's body one after another. Under the refinement of the infinite ancestral fire in Mo Xiaolang's body, Long Chen's greatest potential was stimulated. This could be said to be the fastest he had ever inherited the ancestral dragon's inheritance, and it was the second ancestral dragon's primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Sacred Lord's soul devouring controlled Mo Shaolang and realized that the situation wasn't good. There was no time to return to the ancestral dragon's lair, and Long Chen was about to completely inherit the second ancestral dragon's inheritance. Chapter 37-33. Success. When the hourglass next to Long Chen finally finished flowing, he finally merged all seven world origins into his body. He completely inherited the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. After merging all seven world origins, Long Chen directly stepped into the third era's ancestral god realm and completed the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Of the 8 ancestral dragon inheritances that Long Chen grasped, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony that he had just grasped was still one world origin away from completion. There was also the great void Aeon dragon, which only had 6 world origins and was one world origin away from completion. Other than that, the 6 great ancestral dragon inheritances were all perfected. The mixed origin fate dragon, divine Tao heart refining dragon, Tai Chi life form dragon, primordial blood spiritual dragon, universe chaos calamity dragon, and shadow dream demon dragon respectively controlled the laws of fate, karma, life, slaughter, calamity, and transformation. Right now, Long Chen was the combination of these 6 ancestral dragons. His strength was the same as the 6 ancestral dragons added together, but his strongest move was still the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony that he had just inherited. After all, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was the second ancestral dragon. It had 8 world origins and was at the level of the second era's ancestral god. Although Long Chen was 1 world origin away from completion, it was still the strongest inheritance for him. When the hourglass next to Long Chen finished flowing, all kinds of ancestral flames surged toward Long Chen and wanted to completely refine him, but Long Chen wasn't afraid at all. Chaotic Universe Disintegration. Long Chen held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand, and the power of the laws of primal chaos instantly condensed on the primordial copper pagoda. The endless laws of primal chaos formed a chaotic universe at this moment. Under the power of the laws of primal chaos, this chaotic universe contained everything around it and then started to completely disintegrate. The stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was also merged with this chaotic universe and then disintegrated. Then, Long Chen escaped from the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body. Damn it. Just a little bit more. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was filled with hatred. He was so close to reaching the lair of Zulong. As long as he reached the lair of Zulong and Long Chen had yet to complete his inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, he would be able to absorb the essence blood of the ancestral dragon in his body and break the seals of the other sacred lords. But now, the speed at which Long Chen assimilated the second ancestral dragon's inheritance had exceeded his expectations. He actually broke through so quickly. In the void, Long Chen stood with the primeval bronze pagoda in his hand, facing Imo Shaolang with a strong desire to fight. By now, Long Chen knew that it was almost impossible to wake Imo Shaolang up. The only thing he could do was to fight. Although his opponent was Imo Shaolang, he could only fight with his brother. Despicable brat, even if that's the case, what can you do? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's cold voice sounded. He had no choice but to control Imo Shaolang again and use the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf to prepare for the final battle with Long Chen. This was Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's last chance. If Imo Shaolang was killed by Long Chen, then none of the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race would have any chance of breaking out of the seal. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer still had confidence in Imo Shaolang. Although Long Chen had inherited the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon and his overall strength had increased dramatically, surpassing Imo Shaolang was Long Chen's friend and brother. Although Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't know much about Long Chen, he knew that Long Chen valued friendship from the self-destruction of the 8 soul-devouring beasts and wouldn't easily kill Imo Shaolang. This was his chance. Ancestral Flame Storm. Limitless ancestral flames instantly appeared from the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. All 9 types of ancestral flames merged together and formed a storm of ancestral flames that swept over Long Chen. The death spirit blood flame that represented slaughter used the laws of slaughter to carry out slaughter. The eternal life flame that represented time slowed down Long Chen's time under its endless refinement, making it difficult for him to use any methods to resist it. The primal chaos green flame that represented life continuously burned Long Chen's life force. There was also the 3 lives karma flame that represented karma, the desolate 10,000 calamity flame that represented calamity, the 9 darkness demonic ancestral flame that represented illusions, the primordial sacrificial flame that represented the primordial sacrificial flame that represented the primordial sacrificial flame, and the newly obtained primal chaos heaven devouring flame. The 9 types of ancestral flames merged into a storm of ancestral flames that surrounded Long Chen. It contained the laws of the ancestral dragon and wanted to turn Long Chen into dust. Primordial chaos prison of a trillion worlds. Facing the storm of 9 kinds of ancestral fires, Long Chen held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand. The primordial world rules surged out majestically. This was a method of space rules. He used the primordial world power to build billions of primordial world prisons. Each space prison could separate a part of the ancestral firestorm and refine it with the primordial world rules. The primordial chaos prison of a trillion worlds instantly descended and devoured the ancestral flame storm before using the laws of primordial chaos to refine it. Even though the destructive power of the ancestral firestorm was endless, it was still broken by the Hong Meng prison of a trillion worlds. Long Chen stood in the void, and after withstanding the ancestral firestorm, he was actually unscathed. At this moment, both Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen had the strength of an ancestral god from the Second Era. Long Chen had obtained the origin of the 7 worlds from the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, and Mo Xiaolang had devoured the essence of a sacred lord and the remaining 14 ancestral gods. Each of their actions could destroy tens of thousands of worlds. This level of battle could even shatter the dimension of the ancestral world. At this point in time, words were useless, so neither side said anything and just stared at each other. Long Chen stared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf's eyes and saw that they were filled with a weird light. It wasn't Mo Xiaolang anymore. At this moment, the sun-devouring demonic wolf was completely controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled the sun-devouring demonic wolf and immediately used the next law after the ancestral flame storm was broken. Heaven-devouring wolf, heaven and earth. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its mouth and released the law of devouring. It turned into a pillar of devouring light that shattered space and time as it shot toward Long Chen. Anything that came into contact with this heaven-devouring wolf, heaven and earth law would be devoured, and this pillar of devouring light would become stronger. All obstacles would only make this pillar of devouring light stronger. This was the law of devouring of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. After merging with the law of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Wolf, it created a new law that could devour and destroy everything. Even space and time wouldn't be able to escape. Facing such a terrifying pillar of devouring light, the primordial copper pagoda in Long Chen's hand released a bright light, and the law of creation condensed into 10,000 beams of light that merged into Long Chen's fist. Great Creation Destruction God Punch. Long Chen punched out, bringing with it a myriad of rays of light of creation. The fist light suddenly broke through the sky and collided with the light pillar of the devouring heaven and earth heavenly wolf. Chapter 37-34. The heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe was a powerful law of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. The pillar of devouring light destroyed space and shot toward Long Chen. On the other hand, the Great Creation Destruction God Fist was created by Long Chen using the law of creation, one of the 3 laws of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Its power wasn't any weaker than the pillar of devouring light from the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe. In fact, it was even stronger than the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe. The Great Creation Destruction God Fist and the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe instantly smashed into the pillar of devouring light. The laws of both sides exploded, and a space-time whirlpool appeared around the beehive. Almost all of Long Chen and the sun-devouring demonic wolf were sucked in. In this turbulent vortex, the divine creation fist and the cosmos devourer of the heavenly wolf both disintegrated and fused together, forming a vortex that destroyed time and space. Neither could take another step forward and kill the other. You have quite a few moves. Let's see this move. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring controlled the sun-devouring demonic wolf and laughed coldly as he told the sun-devouring demonic wolf to use another move. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its mouth, and limitless devouring law power appeared. The power of the 9 ancestral flames was also surrounded by the law of devouring. The first move, the Storm of Ancestral Flames, was the fusion of the 9 ancestral flames, and it was extremely powerful. The second move, the Heaven-Devouring Wolf Devours the Universe, was a pure devouring power that could devour everything. The third move was the fusion of the law of devouring and the power of the 9 ancestral flames. 10,000 World Furnace. The sun-devouring demonic wolf's deep voice sounded, and the law of devouring containing the power of the 9 ancestral flames instantly turned into a giant furnace that came from every direction and trapped Long Chen. The power of the 9 ancestral flames was merged into the 10,000 world furnace, and anything that was devoured by it would be refined by the 9 ancestral flames and devoured by the law of devouring. Long Chen was enveloped by the myriad realm furnace. He instantly felt the powerful refining power of the myriad realm furnace. The power of the 9 ancestral flames surged through the myriad realm furnace, burning everything in it, including Long Chen, space, and time. At the same time, the devouring rule was everywhere in the myriad realm furnace, supporting the power of the 9 ancestral flames. Not only did it strengthen the refining power of the ancestral flames, but it could also devour the rule power that Long Chen had displayed, making it difficult for him to break this trick. Long Chen had a grave expression on his face. He clearly felt that if he didn't use a stronger technique and just used the Great Good Fortune Annihilation Divine Fist or the Primordial Chaos Prison, the power of a single law would definitely be devoured by the devouring law of the Myriad Realm Furnace. He wouldn't be able to break it. In the Myriad Realm Furnace, Long Chen was violently refined. No matter what technique he used, he would be devoured by the devouring law and continue to be trapped in the Myriad Realm Furnace. The power of the Myriad Realm Furnace's rule, which combined the devouring rule power with the 9 ancestral flames, was extremely terrifying. If Long Chen had not inherited the second ancestral dragon's inheritance, he might not have been able to break this trick. But now, he was extremely calm. He held the primordial bronze pagoda in his hand, and the 3 rule powers of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, primordial chaos, and creation, emerged from the pagoda at the same time. The primordial bronze pagoda was the world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, and it contained the extremely strong rule power of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony. Now that Long Chen had inherited the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, its power surged and turned into a long rule river. In this long rule river, the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, and creation intertwined with each other, forming a tyrannical light beam that broke through the space. Primordial Strike. Long Chen fused the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos. His body turned into the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, and with the primordial bronze pagoda as the medium, he condensed the primordial strike. The long river formed by the 3 rule powers condensed into a light beam that bloomed brilliantly in the Myriad Realm Furnace. In the Myriad Realm Furnace, the endless devouring rule power tried to devour the rule power of the primordial strike. However, the primordial strike contained the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos. The devouring power of the primordial strike alone was smashed by the primordial strike and scattered everywhere. Then, the entire Myriad Realm Furnace collapsed under the impact of the primordial strike. The 9 ancestral flames that were integrated into it exploded and ignited the space around the Myriad Realm Furnace. In the midst of the chaotic ancestral flames, the rule river formed by the primordial strike broke through space and time and instantly descended on the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Primordial chaos laws, and creation laws, the 3 fused together and instantly broke through the sun-devouring direwolf's body, causing it to feel dizzy for a moment. It was completely immobilized in this devastated primogenitor's world. Then, the primordial strike descended on the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf again. The 3 rule powers merged and completely destroyed the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, causing it to completely collapse in space and time. Seeing this, Long Chen stopped in time. After all, the opponent was Mo Xiaolang, his brother. He couldn't really kill Mo Xiaolang, so he could only destroy his body temporarily. It seems that I can only seal him in the God Nation first, Long Chen thought, and wanted to use some methods to seal the remaining soul of Mo Xiaolang into the God Nation. However, right at this moment, Mo Xiaolang's soul seemed to wake up a little. This was mainly because the aura of Sacred Lord's soul devouring was finally gone, and Long Chen's actions paused for a moment. Xiaolang, how do you feel? Long Chen asked anxiously. However, in the next instant, Mo Xiaolang's soul became cold once more, and the power of devouring condensed around it. The body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was formed once more. Long Chen, you've been tricked. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring used Mo Xiaolang's mouth to speak in a smug tone. Long Chen had come over just to check on Mo Xiaolang's condition, giving him the best chance. Storm of Ancestral Flames. The laws of the 9 ancestral flames appeared once more. This time, Long Chen wasn't prepared and was unable to block it at all. He was completely engulfed by the storm of ancestral flames. Long Chen didn't expect Sacred Lord's soul devouring to leave and distract him before appearing again to ambush him. At this moment, he was completely engulfed by the storm of ancestral flames, and the 9 powerful ancestral flames started to refine his body. Chapter 37-35. The storm of ancestral flames could destroy everything. Long Chen was ambushed by the storm of ancestral flames and was instantly severely injured. His body was being refined by the 9 types of ancestral flames, and he was in an extremely weak state. Ha ha ha, Long Chen, you didn't expect that I, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, would have such methods, right? But now is the time that will truly make you despair. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer laughed as he used the Sun Devourer demonic wolf. A surge of mental energy appeared from the Sun Devourer demonic wolf and landed on the severely injured Long Chen. Right now, Long Chen couldn't fight back at all. He could only blame himself for falling into Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's trap so easily and being severely injured. However, there was no point in regretting now. Long Chen had to focus and face Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's methods. He couldn't lose this battle. As the mental energy from the Sun Devourer demonic wolf entered Long Chen's body, it instantly covered his entire body and used the mental energy to control Long Chen. Soul control is my most powerful law technique. Long Chen, you can only be controlled by me now. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was very smug. As he successfully used soul control, he controlled Long Chen just like how he controlled Mo Xiaolang. However, there were still some differences between the two. On Mo Xiaolang's side, because Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was controlling the Sky Devourer race, Mo Xiaolang's mental energy and soul were completely suppressed. Mo Xiaolang couldn't feel anything, so he was probably in a state of chaos. However, Long Chen was different. Long Chen's body was the manifestation of the Ancestral Dragon, not the Sky Devourer race. Although Sacred Lord Soul Devourer could use soul control to barely control Long Chen's body, he couldn't suppress his mental energy and soul. Therefore, Long Chen was completely awake right now, but there was nothing he could do. His mental energy was also severely injured in the storm of ancestral flames, and a part of it was refined by the ancestral flames. Oh no, the soul-devouring beast controlled my body because it wanted to release the other holy lords of the Sky-devouring clan. If he succeeds, the situation will be very bad. Long Chen was a little anxious, but there was nothing he could do now. I need to recover as soon as possible. No matter what Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wants to do, I won't be able to stop him. I might as well focus on recovering my mental energy. Only then will I be able to regain control of my body. Long Chen thought to himself. He didn't bother with what Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was doing with his body. Instead, he started to rest and recover his damaged mental energy. After Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Long Chen, he obviously wanted to release the other holy lords of the Sky-devouring race. Under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control, Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang's bodies soon arrived at the ancestral god dragon's lair. They appeared in front of the 9 giant caves above the lair. There were 9 giant caves above the ancestral god dragon's lair. 2 of them contained the origin dragon soul of the dark shadow dream demon dragon and the origin dragon soul of the universe chaos calamity dragon. Long Chen had already obtained both of them. Each of the remaining 7 giant caves had a sacred lord of the sky devouring race sealed within them. There's not much time left. I should release my body first. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer seemed to think for a moment before controlling Long Chen and dripping his inheritance blood essence onto the entrance of one of the giant caves. The essence blood that belonged to the ancestral divine dragon dissolved the seal barrier as soon as it came into contact with it. The seal barrier was only set up for the sky-devouring clan and the ancestral divine dragon. It would not stop the person who inherited the ancestral dragon's legacy. When Long Chen came here and obtained the origin dragon soul of the dark shadow dream demon dragon and the universe chaos calamity dragon, he had already tested it. The barrier could be completely melted by the inheritance blood essence. As the inheritance blood essence touched the barrier at the entrance of the cave, the barrier completely melted. A cold aura then spread from the depths of the cave. A giant sacred lord of the sky-devouring race appeared from the depths of the cave. Since he had regained his freedom, his aura was extremely excited. The body of this sacred lord of the sky-devouring race was a giant soul-devouring beast. It was obviously Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Ha ha ha, I'm out. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's voice was extremely sharp and cold, and it was filled with an evil and weird aura. He first controlled Long Chen and let himself out. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was the ancestor of the Soul Devourer beasts. Sacred Lord God Demon God used the souls of the 8 dragon servants to create the Soul Devourer beasts, and he was the strongest member of the sky-swallowing race. At this moment, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was free. Without the barrier, his control over Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang's souls became stronger and more stable. I'll let you out now. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Long Chen's body and dripped his ancestral dragon inheritance blood onto the entrance of the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon and quickly removed the barrier. Long Chen had once talked to a sacred lord of the sky-devouring race in the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon and knew that Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer was sealed inside. He was the sacred lord of the sky-devouring race who had devoured the most god dragons, and his strength was extremely terrifying. The barrier of the 8th ancestral dragon cave was already a little damaged. Now that the ancestral dragon inheritance blood essence was dripping onto it, it disintegrated at the fastest speed possible. Then, Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's figure slowly appeared from the huge cave and arrived at the primogenitor's world. I'm out. Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer's body was extremely big. He had no limbs and only a round gray body. He had a pair of large eyes and a terrifying mouth that took up 1/3 of his body. He wasn't as excited about escaping as Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was. He was very calm and said to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer after coming out, "Continue to save the other Sacred Lords. I don't need you to say anything." Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said coldly before controlling Long Chen's body and heading toward the next cave of the ancestral dragon. Soon, he arrived at another ancestral dragon cave and dripped the inheritance blood essence on the seal barrier at the cave entrance. As the seal barrier was gradually disintegrated by the inheritance blood essence, a bloody smell wafted out from the depths of the cave. This bloody aura made one want to puke, but it contained a terrifying aura. The sacred lord of the sky-devouring race inside was definitely not a simple existence. How many years has it been? You're finally out. Before the sacred lord of the sky-devouring race's body came out, an extremely deep voice sounded from the depths of the cave. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer revealed expectant expressions after hearing this voice. The sacred lords of the sky-devouring race were finally going to break their seals one by one and come out. There were already more than 50 chapters in the new Sky-Devouring Chronicles. It was very fat and could be slaughtered. Chapter 37-36. Immediately after Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon came out was a giant beast that looked like a meatball. It gave off a bloody aura and looked like the combination of the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Llama Beast. Both the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Llama Beast ate the essence of blood and flesh. They loved to devour the essence of all living beings to increase their own strength. They were extremely cruel and bloody existences. The sacred lord of the sky-devouring race in front of them was the king of the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Llama Beast, Sacred Lord Blood Llama. As soon as Sacred Lord Blood Llama appeared, he covered the entire space in a bloody light and occupied the entire space with a cruel aura. Continue. The inheritor of the ancestral god dragon is being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. It's not easy. Sacred Lord Blood Llama glanced at Long Chen's body that was being controlled and said coldly. Long Chen was still trying his best to recover. He obviously felt the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race appear one after another. The first was Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, the second was Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, and the third was Sacred Lord Blood Llama. Putting aside the three sacred lords of the sky-devouring race, just any one of them wasn't something that the current Long Chen could easily defeat. Long Chen wanted to regain control of his body, but his mental energy hadn't fully recovered yet. He could only watch as Sacred Lord Soul Devouring controlled his body and headed to the next cave. It's Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's turn now. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's body didn't move at all. He controlled Long Chen's body to come to the front of another cave and started to drip the ancestral god dragon's inheritance blood essence onto the barrier at the entrance. Under the influence of the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence, the barrier started to melt and disappear once again. It didn't take long before the barrier completely disappeared, and an extremely cold aura radiated from the depths of the cave. This chilly aura quickly spread towards the cave. In the next moment, a giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture flew out of the huge cave. When this giant bird appeared, the surrounding space instantly became extremely cold. This was Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He could devour all heat and temperature and turn everything into cold and darkness. The moment Sacred Lord Devouring Yin appeared, the temperature of the entire primogenitor world dropped to an extremely low level. Almost all the nearby space was frozen. Adding on the 3 sky-swallowing sacred lords from before, there were now 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords in total. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used Long Chen's body to break the seal and escape the giant cave to arrive in the primogenitor's world. These 4 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race had been sealed for too long. They were greedily enjoying the aura of freedom in the primogenitor's world. They're finally out. Who's next? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin flew next to Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, and his cold aura almost froze Long Chen's body. Next, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't think too much. He was just saving the sky-swallowing sacred lords one by one according to the order of the cave. It didn't matter who was next. However, at this moment, Long Chen's mental energy was about to completely recover. Although he hadn't fully recovered, he could use the ancestral dragon's inheritance to break free from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. He saw that the other side had already released 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, and there were only 3 that were still sealed. Of course, he wouldn't let the other side release the seals of the other sacred lords. However, the other side had too many people, and their battle power was too strong. Apart from the 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, there was also Mo Xiaolang who was being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. It was almost impossible to fight back. Therefore, even if Long Chen wanted to regain control of his body, he needed to find the best opportunity. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer then controlled Long Chen and headed to the entrance of the next cave. Because the bodies of the sky-swallowing sacred lords were very big, the other sacred lords and Mo Xiaolang didn't follow Long Chen to the entrance of the cave. They just waited for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to use Long Chen to release the next sky-swallowing sacred lord. Right at this moment, Long Chen saw that the opportunity was right. Just as Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was about to drip the ancestral dragon's blood essence, Long Chen's mental energy soul suddenly exploded and chased Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's intent out of Long Chen's body along with the intent of the 8 ancestral dragon's inheritances, allowing Long Chen to regain control of his own body. It seemed like the Jade Dragon Dao Seal was helping Long Chen as well. The mysterious dragon Jade is so powerful. I wonder what kind of power it contains. Long Chen thought to himself. However, now wasn't the time to think about this. He had finally regained control of his body, and the most important thing was to temporarily avoid the other party's attacks. It was almost impossible for the current Long Chen to fight the 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, so he didn't have any intention of fighting them. If he forced himself to fight, he would only continue to be controlled and release the other 3 sky-swallowing sacred lords. Therefore, as soon as he regained control of his body, he immediately flew towards the back of the giant beehive. This scene stunned the 4 sky-swallowing clan holy lords who had just escaped. Then, they all let out a bloodthirsty and cruel aura as they quickly chased after Long Chen. They were originally looking forward to seeing who would be the next sacred lord to escape, but they didn't expect that it would be Long Chen who escaped from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control instead. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer also didn't expect Long Chen to recover so quickly. Most importantly, he didn't know that Long Chen had the mysterious dragon Jade, so he didn't expect that Long Chen would escape from his control. How could you let him escape? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's voice was extremely cold, and it made one's body shiver. He has a mysterious item on him that allowed him to escape from my control, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a deep voice. Don't argue. This is a small matter. We just need to capture him back, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a deep voice. Sacred Lord Blood Yama was the most violent. His entire body radiated a bloody aura, and he couldn't wait to devour Long Chen's flesh. He wanted to see if the flesh of the ancestral dragon's inheritor was any different. The four sacred lords and Mo Xiaolang, who was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, chased in the direction that Long Chen escaped. However, Long Chen had the initiative, and his speed wasn't slow either. They were unable to catch up to Long Chen. Very soon, Long Chen arrived at the back of the giant beehive, the passage that led back to the infinite world. He charged in and directly passed through a barrier. At this moment, Long Chen noticed that this entire passageway was formed from the energy he possessed. In this way, he was entirely capable of completely melting this passageway. Chapter 37:37. As Long Chen now had the complete inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, he could feel what kind of power was contained in this passageway. The entire passageway was made up of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos rule power. It was the fusion of the rule power of the second ancestral dragon and the primordial dragon ritual. This passageway was probably created by the primordial dragon ritual. Long Chen had passed through the barrier, and it would be difficult for the Sky-Swallowing Clan's divine lords to fuse it in a short period of time. The Sky-Swallowing Clan's divine lords would find a chance to break it, catch up to Long Chen, and follow him to the infinite world. This would be a great disaster for the infinite worlds. Without hesitation, Long Chen decided to destroy the entire passageway. Once he returned to the infinite worlds, he would destroy the entire passageway. He would not give the Sky-Swallowing Race Holy Lords any chance. The Sky-Swallowing Race Holy Lords and Mo Xiaolang Sun Devouring Dire Wolf chased after Long Chen and entered the passageway. As expected, they passed through the gap in the barrier that had yet to recover and continued to chase after Long Chen. However, Long Chen quickly left the passageway and finally returned to the infinite worlds. With his familiarity with the terrain of the passageway, Long Chen was always faster than the Sky-Swallowing Race Holy Lords. After leaving the passageway, he gathered the rule power of chaos, creation, and primordial chaos together and used the primordial strike towards the passageway. The primordial strike was the strongest move of the primordial dragon ritual. When it was used, the power of the three rule power surged towards the passageway and started to melt the entire passageway. If the entire passageway was melted, the Sky-Swallowing Race Holy Lords would not be able to enter the infinite worlds through this passageway. It could be said that this was the best way for them to invade the infinite worlds. Long Chen finally heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the passageway start to collapse. At this moment, the four Sky-Swallowing Race Holy Lords and Mo Xiaolang were chasing after Long Chen in the passageway. They hesitated as they saw that they were about to leave the passageway. If we leave this place, we might not be able to return to the primordial world in the future. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon said in a deep tone. It's fine. With the 5 of us working together, we should be able to gather enough power to tear open the world barrier and return to the primogenitor's world. At most, we'll just have to spend some effort. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin said coldly. Then let's go and capture that ancestral dragon's inheritor. Sacred Lord Shuai said coldly and wanted to charge out of the tunnel. But at this moment, the entire passage was suddenly hit by the Premier's attack and began to collapse. The space in the passage began to be annihilated, completely blocking their way to the infinite world. Damn it! Step back. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's cold voice sounded. He sounded extremely angry. Long Chen, so what if you've sealed the passage? One day, we'll still be able to head to the infinite worlds and capture you. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's voice became softer and softer until it disappeared. The sacred lords of the sky-devouring race didn't dare to stay in the collapsed passageway for too long. They could only return to the primogenitor's world and be separated from Long Chen. At this moment, Long Chen was in the infinite world and witnessed the complete collapse of the passageway. The sacred lords of the sky-devouring race were completely separated and wouldn't be able to come to the infinite worlds in a short period of time. Long Chen finally let Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Kitten out of his divine kingdom. We're finally out of danger. Chen, what do we do now? Xiao Lang, he. Lingxi let out a breath as soon as she came out, but then she started to worry about Xiao Lang. Xiao Lang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and his life and death were completely in the hands of the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race. If the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race decided to go all out, Xiao Lang definitely wouldn't be able to survive. Don't worry. If they want to break through the world barrier and come to the infinite worlds from the primogenitor's world, they have to borrow Xiao Lang's power. Otherwise, they'll have to spend a lot more time, so they won't be able to do anything to Xiao Lang. Long Chen was very certain about this and wasn't too worried about Xiao Lang. If the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race killed Xiao Lang, it wouldn't benefit them at all. After all, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer could control Xiao Lang completely because Xiao Lang's body was the sun-devouring wolf of the sky-devouring race. If they want to come to the infinite worlds, they'll definitely need a lot of time. If I want to defeat them, I need to be even more powerful. Lingxi, Xuanji, Kitten, lead the people of the infinite worlds and patrol the infinite worlds in case of any accidents. I'll return to the Tower of Time and cultivate as soon as possible. Long Chen quickly made a decision and said to the others. Li Xuanji nodded. Okay, we'll inform you as soon as there's anything unusual in the infinite worlds. Cultivate as soon as possible. Okay. Long Chen nodded. Without wasting any time, he directly returned to the fourth floor of the Tower of Time and started cultivating in the high-speed time domain. Li Xuanji, Ling Shi, Cat, and the others quickly informed the ancestral gods of the fifth era who were still alive in the myriad worlds and led them to patrol the entire myriad worlds. As for Long Chen, he only needed to improve his strength as soon as possible. Although he had completely mastered the 8 ancestral dragon inheritances, the primordial sacrificial dragon and the void cosmic dragon had yet to reach perfection. They both needed the origin of a world to reach the pinnacle. Of course, Long Chen's cultivation this time would start from this aspect. In the high-speed time domain, time flew. Long Chen first comprehended the time rule of the void cosmic dragon. Finally, about 30,000 years later, he cultivated the origin of the Void Ether Dragon's 7th world and raised the Void Ether Dragon's inheritance to the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god realm. This allowed Long Chen's understanding of time to finally reach its peak. Long Chen was now more adept at controlling the laws of time. Moreover, he was able to display more laws related to time. The laws of time that he had cultivated in the past were now even more powerful when he displayed them. The Void Cosmic Dragon's inheritance has finally reached perfection. Long Chen sighed with emotions. 30,000 years was only about 3 months in the outside world. However, he had spent 30,000 years, which made him feel the vicissitudes of life. Cultivation was boring. However, Long Chen had long been used to it. He wasn't satisfied with just this. Next, he wanted to cultivate the last world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. As long as he could cultivate the last world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite, Long Chen would be able to step into the 2nd era's ancestral god realm. His true strength, combined with the 8 great ancestral dragon inheritances, would definitely surpass ordinary sky-devouring clan holy lords. However, at this moment, Long Chen's cultivation had to be interrupted. Because Lingxi sent a message from the outside of the Tower of Time that a crack had appeared on the world barrier. It seemed that a divine lord of sky-devouring clan was destroying the world barrier in the ancestral world, pushing the heavens devouring skill. Chapter 37-38. When Lingxi sent the news, Longchen didn't dare to waste a second. He immediately left the high-speed time domain on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time and headed towards where Lingxi had found that something was wrong. It was a rather remote corner of the worlds. A crack had appeared in the world barrier, and the auras of the sky-devouring race sacred lords could be faintly felt from the other side of the crack. Coincidentally, Ancestor God Pangu was patrolling this area. When he saw the crack, he immediately informed Lingxi and the others, and then Longchen. When Longchen passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate and arrived at this corner, many people, including Ling Shi and Li Xuanji, had already gathered there. They looked solemnly at the crack in the world barrier in front of them. It was expanding continuously, and the aura of the sky-devouring clan was getting stronger and stronger. Chen, it's here. The sky-devouring race sacred lords are probably tearing the world barrier apart, Lingxi pointed at the crack and said worriedly. It's okay, I have a way. Longchen immediately understood the situation after arriving. He felt the aura of the sky-devouring race on the other side of the crack and knew that they were tearing the world barrier apart, just like how they had torn it apart to bring the sacred lords back to the primogenitor's world. The power that had torn the world barrier apart back then was formed by the 7 sky-devouring race sacred lords. They had spent many years breaking through the seal and could only break the world barrier once. Now that the 4 sky-devouring race sacred lords had broken through the seal, their power would no longer be blocked by the seal. Adding on the fact that Mo Shaolang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, the 5 experts would only need 3 months to break the world barrier. Fortunately, Longchen had now completely inherited the inheritance of the Void Universe Dragon and cultivated the 7th world's origin of the Time Law. In terms of the Time Law, he had stepped into the level of the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god. This was a huge breakthrough. It allowed Longchen to have a deeper understanding of the laws of time and unleash more power. Elder God Pangu and the other elder gods of the 5th era were all extremely worried. Their only pillar of support was Longchen. Now that all of the elder gods of the 4th era had perished, the elder gods of the 5th era had become the most important overseer of order in the infinite worlds. They had discovered this world barrier, and their nervousness was no less than Ling Shi and the others. Ling Shi and Li Xuanji were considered the strongest in the infinite worlds apart from Longchen. However, there was nothing they could do in the current situation where the world barrier was actually being torn apart. Now, everyone was looking forward to Longchen coming up with a way to mend the crack in the world barrier. If he couldn't do it, the sky-devouring clan's divine lords would definitely be a great disaster when they came to the worlds. However, since Longchen said he had a way, there shouldn't be a problem. Longchen's words calmed everyone down. They all had high hopes for Longchen. Longchen didn't waste any time. He immediately transformed into the Void Universe Dragon and the chains of time around him started to move. With a ka-ka sound, the chains of time around him started to rotate continuously. Gradually, a needle of time was formed. Needle of Eternity. This needle of time was like a piece of cloth being mended. It moved towards the barrier between the 2 worlds and quickly filled up the crack. This situation caused Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and the gods of the 5th era to all reveal looks of joy. As expected of Longchen, he really did have a way. He even had a way to fill in the cracks that had been torn in the world barrier. However, this wasn't good news for the sky-devouring clan's sacred lords who were still in the primogenitor's world. As the crack in the world barrier was being mended, the faces of the 4 sky-devouring clan sacred lords in the primogenitor's world darkened. Humph. That brat is too despicable. I didn't expect his mastery of the laws of time to be at the level of the Void Universe Dragon from before the epoch. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon snorted coldly. It's fine. I want to see how many times he can mend the crack in the world barrier. We can break the world barrier once every 3 months. He can't focus on cultivating even if he wants to. Since he has a way to mend the crack in the world barrier, we can also do something. Sacred Lord Devouring Moon said sinisterly, this time, we spent 3 months to break the crack in the world barrier, but in reality, we didn't even use the power of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Next time, I'll use the power of the sun-devouring demonic wolf and will definitely be able to catch them off guard. That's right. Luckily, Sacred Lord Devouring Moon had a trick up his sleeve. This way, we can disrupt their plans. It might even be effective, Sacred Lord Shuayama said cruelly. Seeing that the crack in the world barrier was about to be completely mended by the Needle of Eternity, they didn't waste their energy trying to stop it. Instead, they retreated and brought the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into with them to prepare to break another crack. This time, the time they needed would be much shorter than the last time. In the infinite worlds. Everyone cheered as they watched Long Qin use the Needle of Eternity to mend the crack in the world barrier. As expected of Long Qin, the hope of the infinite worlds. He had once again resolved the crisis that the infinite worlds were facing. Don't be careless. If they can break the world barrier once, they can break the world barrier a second time. It's been 3 months since I returned from the primogenitor's world. This means that it will take them about 3 months to break the world barrier once. Long Qin said, during this period of time, everyone must pay attention to every corner of the infinite worlds. If anything strange happens, inform me immediately. We understand. Ancestor God Pangu and the other ancestor gods of the fifth era nodded. Everyone set the time for the other party to break the world barrier at 3 months. Although this didn't mean that they wouldn't patrol the infinite worlds before 3 months, the intensity of their patrols would definitely be weaker. This gave the sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan more time and more opportunities. Long Qin and the others didn't expect the sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan to have such a trick. After using the Needle of Eternity to mend the crack in the world barrier, they all left this place. Ancestor God Pangu and the other ancestor gods of the fifth era, as well as Lingxi and Li Xuanji, went to other places in the infinite worlds to investigate. As for Long Qin, he returned to the 4th floor of the Tower of Time and continued cultivating in the high-speed time domain. Chapter 37-39. On the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, Long Qin was cultivating in the high-speed time realm at a speed of 100,000 times. The primeval dragon sacrificial ceremony had 8 world origins, but Long Qin had only inherited 7 world origins from the primeval bronze pagoda. After Long Qin cultivated the 7th world's origin of the void ether dragon, he was only left with the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. Therefore, his cultivation goal was very clear. However, I still couldn't get any news about the first ancestral dragon until now. Long Qin was a bit dubious about it, however, he didn't think too much about it. As His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan was thinking about how to break through the world barrier and come to the dragon-sacrificing world from the primogenitor's world, Long Qin didn't have too much time. After sealing the crack of the world barrier, he only gained 3 months' time. After 3 months, Long Qin still had to leave the Tower of Time to prevent his opponent from coming to the world through the crack of the world barrier. In 3 months, I could cultivate almost 30,000 years on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time in total. It's still a bit difficult for me to cultivate the origin of the 8th world of the original dragon sacrificing rules during this period. No matter how difficult it was, Long Qin had to face it. During the long period of time, he had a deep understanding of chaos and creation. The primordial dragon sacrificial rite controlled the primordial chaos, and creation. These 3 rules were the foundation of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. By sensing chaos, and creation, Long Qin could gradually form the 8th origin of worlds. However, it would take him a long time. No matter what, I need greater power. Even if His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan didn't come here, I would go for him. At least, I have to save Xiaolang. His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan has to be eliminated. With an extremely high belief and battle will, Long Qin cultivated at the highest speed in the high-speed time realm on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time day after day, year after year. He didn't slack at all. In the outside world, all the ancestral gods of the 5th era mobilized the power of the myriad worlds and patrolled the myriad worlds to prevent any accidents from happening. The main thing was to guard against a crack in the world barrier like last time. If it appeared, they had to inform Longchen immediately. Previously, the Sky-Swallowing clan's divine lords had spent 3 months to break through the barrier between the two worlds. Hence, the Fifth Era's ancestral gods were relatively at ease for the time being. It was unlikely that the other party would break through again in a short period of time. However, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's plan was beyond everyone's expectations. After joining the sun-devouring demonic wolf incarnated by Mo Shaolang, their speed of breaking through the world barrier was much faster than before. Only 2 months later, in an uninhabited corner of the myriad worlds, the world barrier was once again torn open. The location of this crack was unknown. It was not far from the place where the time barrier was torn apart last time. Everyone, including the Fifth Era's ancestral god, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji, all thought that it was unlikely that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would tear through the world barrier in the same place. Moreover, only 2 months had passed. Hence, no one noticed the crack in the world barrier for the time being. The territory of the myriad worlds was simply too vast. Even though countless people were patrolling, with a slight carelessness, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader still found a chance. The crack in the world barrier continued to expand. In just 3 days, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would be able to break through the crack and enter the dragon sacrificial world from the primogenitor's world. As time passed, the crack in the world barrier continued to expand. The Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's aura continued to leak out into the surrounding void. Finally, after 2 days, the crack in the world barrier had expanded to the extent where the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader could pass through. Just a little bit more and the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would appear from within. At this moment, a Fifth Era's ancestral god finally came to inspect this place every 2 days. He had come here leisurely, but he accidentally discovered the crack in the world barrier. The ancestral god of the Fifth Era was instantly stunned, and he sent the news out as fast as he could. The Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had actually silently broken through the world barrier and created a huge crack. It was already twice the size of the last time he discovered it. It wouldn't be long before the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would be able to pass through. Long Chen, who was cultivating in the Tower of Time, soon received the news. This forcefully interrupted his cultivation. Originally, he had reached a critical moment in his cultivation, but he was interrupted at this time, causing his cultivation progress to fall back a lot. However, Long Chen was also shocked. He didn't expect the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader to open another passage in just 2 months. This was really unexpected. He couldn't be bothered to cultivate anymore. He passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate as fast as he could and immediately appeared at the location that the Fifth Era's ancestral god warned him about. As expected, as soon as he appeared, he felt the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's aura coming from the huge crack in the world barrier. He didn't waste any time. He didn't even greet the Fifth Era's ancestral god, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji. Instead, he took out the time chain that sealed the crack in the first world barrier. Previously, Long Chen had turned the time chain into a needle of time to seal the crack in the world barrier that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had torn open. Now, Long Chen could only take out the time chain and continue to use the Needle of Eternity to seal the crack in the world barrier that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had torn open again. Fortunately, the crack in the world barrier had basically closed after 2 months. Even if he took out the time chain, there was only a small crack left. Needle of Eternity. Long Chen used this move as fast as he could. The time rule of eternity condensed into a long needle. It constantly shuttled between the cracks in the world barrier in an attempt to repair the crack. However, the crack in the world barrier was twice as big as the previous time. The difficulty of repairing it was not only twice as hard, but several times harder. Long Chen used the Needle of Eternity to thread the crack in the world barrier. He used the time rule of eternity to gradually repair it. However, on the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's side, an even stronger force that tore the world barrier apart suddenly exploded, causing the crack in the world barrier to expand further. It became much more difficult for Long Chen to block it. However, he did not give up. He immediately activated the chains of time, condensing an even more tyrannical power of the laws of time, and added it to the needle of eternity. Chapter 3740. The needle of eternity formed by the time chain stopped the crack that the sky-swallowing clan holy lords had torn open in the world barrier. However, it was difficult to shrink it. The pressure has suddenly lessened. Long Chen suddenly felt that the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader's strength in tearing apart the world barrier had weakened. He couldn't help but feel that it was strange. However, he didn't hesitate and immediately used the needle of eternity to pierce through the world barrier and repair it in one go. Done, Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. But suddenly, not far away, the crack in the world barrier that the sky-swallowing clan holy leaders had torn for the first time suddenly widened. This scene shocked everyone in the infinite worlds. 3 months ago, the sky-swallowing clan holy lord had torn open a crack in the world barrier, but Long Chen had repaired it with the needle of eternity formed by the time chain. Now that the other party had once again broken through the world barrier, Long Chen could only take out the time chain to fill in the new crack that the other party had torn. The original crack in the world barrier had already recovered to a small crack, and it was no longer a threat. But now, Long Chen realized that the other party had suddenly retreated and was actually attacking the first crack in the world barrier with full force. I must stop them. Long Chen couldn't imagine the disaster that would ensue after the 5 holy lords entered the infinite worlds. Therefore, he immediately headed towards the first crack in the world barrier. At this time, many people, including Lingxi, were already in front of the crack in the world barrier. They were extremely nervous and worried. With Long Chen's arrival, their nervousness and worry didn't decrease at all. This was because they could already see a terrifying shadow of the sky-swallowing clan appearing in the crack in the world barrier. It was charging towards the infinite worlds. Its holy lord devouring dragon. Long Chen saw the huge and round body that had no limbs, only a huge pair of eyes and a mouth. He knew that the first one to charge out was Holy Lord Devouring Dragon. Holy Lord Devouring Dragon was the sky-swallowing clan holy lord that had devoured the most divine dragons. His devouring rules of order had a special effect on divine dragons. Now, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was at the very front. He wanted to charge into the myriad worlds from the primogenitor's world to deal with Long Chen and devour myriad worlds. As the crack in the world barrier expanded once more, Long Chen found it difficult to repair it. He could only use certain nomological methods to prevent the other party from stepping into the infinite worlds. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, you're courting death. Long Chen bellowed. The power of the time rules gathered in his hands. At that moment, he had cultivated the origin of the 7th world of the void cosmic dragon. In terms of the time rules, he had stepped into the realm of the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god. He had perfectly inherited the void cosmic dragon's inheritance. Long Chen transformed into a void cosmic dragon, and the time rules surged as he headed straight for the crack in the world barrier. Time reversal. The void cosmic dragon roared as it swam in the air. The time rules turned into 10 time reversal coiling dragon pillars that instantly descended on the crack in the world barrier and completely suppressed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. The nomological powers contained in the 10 coiling dragon pillars were all different. Time acceleration, time deceleration, time whirlpool, time stop, time disorder, and so on. They all formed a time reversal domain that completely suppressed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, who was trying to pass through the crack in the world barrier. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was trapped in the time reversal domain. He immediately roared and unleashed the power of the devouring rules of order in an attempt to break through the suppression of the time reversal pillars and the restriction of the crack in the world barrier. He hadn't completely passed through the world barrier yet, so he couldn't move freely. It was especially uncomfortable after he was dragged into the time reversal domain by the time reversal pillars. The explosion of the devouring rules of order caused cracks to appear on the 10 coiling dragon pillars, but these 10 coiling dragon pillars were still suppressing Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. This was the attack of a void cosmic dragon at its peak state. The cracks on the 10 coiling dragon pillars didn't affect their power. The power of the laws of time was like an eternal river, and it split Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body into different parts of the chaotic time domain. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was torn apart by the power of time in the time reversal domain, and he was severely injured. Go back. Great Creation Destruction God Fist. Long Chen then condensed the power of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony in his hand and turned into the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. The primordial bronze pagoda was above his head, and he punched towards Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's torn body. This punch contained the power of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, and a terrifying shockwave exploded. This punch pushed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon back, and he disappeared into the crack in the world barrier. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was smashed by this punch, and he retreated into the primogenitor's world. Everyone in the surrounding worlds cheered when they saw this. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, one of the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan with a terrifying aura, was pushed back by Long Chen's time reversal domain and creation destruction fist. Don't you think it's too early for you to be happy? An eerie voice came from the crack in the world barrier, and a wave of chilling air spread from it. It was as if the temperature of all worlds was being swallowed into the primogenitor's world. I'm Sacred Lord Devouring Shadow, and I don't mind playing with you. The eerie voice sounded, and the speed at which the chilling air spread became faster and faster. It's indeed too early to be happy. The crack in the world barrier won't be repaired in a short period of time. Long Chen's expression changed slightly, and he was just about to take measures to stop Sacred Lord Devouring Shadow from coming out of the crack in the world barrier. At this moment, the chilling air from the primogenitor's world suddenly increased by more than 10 times, and it spread to half of the worlds. Long Chen bore the brunt of it, and he was covered by a layer of endless black ice. He was trapped in the ice, and he couldn't do anything for a while. Long Chen was in such a state, let alone the others. Luckily, Long Chen had subconsciously gathered Lingxi and the others into his god nation before the chilling air descended, and they were spared. However, the small half of the myriad worlds that was spread by the cold air suffered. The cold air covered the sky and covered many worlds. The billions of living beings in those worlds were all frozen to death by the shocking cold air. Damn it! Chapter 3741. Long Chen was covered in endless black ice. He immediately tried to break through the ice's bindings. However, he discovered that the endless black ice had not only frozen his body, it had also sealed all of his power. He would not be able to use it for a short period of time. No matter how hard he tried to break through the ice seal, it would take him a short period of time to do so. During this period of time, the situation in the myriad worlds had changed greatly. While Long Chen and the others were frozen and sealed in the ice, the 4 Sacred Lords, including Sacred Lord Devouring Yin, and the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into, rushed out of the crack in the world barrier. The 4 Sacred Lords and the sun-devouring demonic wolf, 5 terrifying existences, started destroying the infinite worlds. Devouring Yin overlapping waves. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin was a giant translucent ice sculpture-like bird. After coming out of the crack in the world barrier, he spread his wings and endless cold air swept out like overlapping waves towards the distance of the infinite worlds. The waves of cold air overlapped with each other, each higher than the last. Sacred Lord Devourer Dragon had just been injured by Long Chen's 2 powerful moves, so he was furious. After coming out of the crack in the world barrier, he barged into the 2 engine-level worlds. He opened his mouth and swallowed the 2 engine-level worlds. Countless living beings and divine demon venerables were devoured by Sacred Lord Devourer Dragon. Sacred Lord Blood Yama, on the other hand, was not so crude. Sacred Lord Blood Yama, who was like the fusion of Blood Hell Beast and Black Yama Beast, descended upon the primitive battleship world where the primordial battle ancestor was. With a single punch, he shattered the protective array of the primitive battleship world and sucked in the flesh and blood of countless living beings in the primitive battleship world. Sacred Lord Blood Yama specialized in devouring flesh and blood, especially the flesh and blood essence of experts. It was extremely attractive to him. The primitive worship world alone wasn't enough to satisfy Sacred Lord Blood Yama's desire to devour flesh and blood essence. He went to the next world and wanted to devour all the living beings in that world, leaving only an empty shell of that world. In the end, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer appeared from the crack in the world. He was the calmest one and didn't seem as crazy as the others. However, he still went to a world and forcefully controlled all the beings there before devouring them all. After devouring billions of beings, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy became stronger, and he was able to control the sun-devouring demonic wolf more easily. World after world was destroyed and devoured by the sky-swallowing race's holy leader. This was hell on earth, an apocalyptic scene. This scene infuriated Long Chen. It wasn't easy for him to protect the infinite worlds. He absolutely couldn't let these guys destroy them so easily, absolutely not. Long Chen's eyes burned with endless rage and murderous intent within the endless black ice. The decimation law fused with the decimation blood sword in his hand, and a myriad tribulation blood river sword light suddenly slashed down. The blood-colored sword light finally shattered the endless black ice, and Long Chen broke free from the ice seal. However, when Long Chen broke free from the ice seal, the first thing he faced was Mo Xiaolang, who had turned into the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Mo Xiaolang didn't hesitate at all and immediately attacked Long Chen. The 9 ancestral fires formed a storm of ancestral fire that surrounded Long Chen. At the same time, the 4 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race who were destroying the infinite worlds in the outside world also returned after Sacred Lord Devouring Yin called out to them. For the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race, the most important thing was to defeat Long Chen. If Long Chen didn't die, it wouldn't be a true victory even if they devoured the entire infinite worlds. Therefore, they all turned around and attacked Long Chen from both sides. They wanted to besiege and kill Long Chen. Long Chen, are you still not going to admit defeat? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's eerie voice sounded, and he used the shadow-devouring stacked waves to attack Long Chen. The chilling air was like overlapping waves that surged toward Long Chen. The endless black chilling air formed overlapping waves and forced Long Chen to think of a way to deal with it. Chaotic Universe Disintegration. Long Chen obviously had the strongest moves of the Primordial Dragon Ritual and the Void Aeon Dragon. He could only use his strongest move to deal with Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's powerful attack. The chaotic universe disintegrated, and the endless power of the Primordial Dragon Ritual formed a chaotic universe. Then, the layers of shadow-devouring stacked waves were enveloped in this chaotic universe. As the chaotic universe disintegrated, the overlapping shadow-devouring stacked waves also disintegrated. Nothing was left. However, this was only the beginning. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin wasn't able to deal with Long Chen in one move, but there were still 3 other Sacred Lords and the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Sacred Lord Devouring Yin controlled to attack Long Chen from the side. All the dragons in the world are my bait. Long Chen, eat my move, Universe Devouring Dragon. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon descended from the sky at this moment. His giant shadow appeared in the sky, and a powerful devouring power formed a giant mouth of the Universe Devouring Dragon. This giant mouth of the Universe Devouring Dragon instantly bit Long Chen's legs, and the terrifying devouring power made his legs seem like they didn't belong to him anymore. Primordial Chaos World Prison. Long Chen gritted his teeth and finally turned into the Primordial Dragon Ritual. He used the laws of the primordial chaos to form the world-devouring dragon and cut the giant mouth of the universe-devouring dragon into billions of pieces before pulling them all into the primordial chaos world prison. However, before the primordial chaos world prison could completely destroy the giant mouth of the universe-devouring dragon, Sacred Lord Shui Yama's attack arrived. Demonic Blood Corrosion. Sacred Lord Shui Yama's devouring power tore through the sky and enveloped Long Chen's tail in a wave of demonic blood. After Long Chen had transformed into the primeval sacrificial dragon, his tail was constantly corroded by the thick and bloody demon blood, causing him to suffer extremely serious injuries. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Devouring Soul didn't just stand there. They both unleashed their devouring power and bit every part of the primordial dragon ritual that Long Chen had turned into. They started to devour it. Long Chen couldn't resist the endless devouring power at all. After all, he was fighting 1 against 5, and the difference was too great. He was completely suppressed. Immediately afterward, the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into attacked Long Chen with the sky wolf devouring universe. He didn't show any mercy at all. Long Chen clenched his teeth when he felt Mo Xiaolang's attack. His eyes were filled with anger. He didn't hate Mo Xiaolang, but he hated Sacred Lord Devouring Soul. These Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring clan actually controlled his brother to fight against him. Chapter 3742. Long Chen stared closely at the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into. Apart from killing intent, there was nothing else in its eyes. Mo Xiaolang's consciousness had been completely suppressed by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and he couldn't escape. The sun-devouring demonic wolf used the laws of the sky wolf devouring Qinkuan to form a pillar of devouring light that shot toward Long Chen's body. It was going to work with the other 4 sacred lords to devour Long Chen. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in Long Chen's divine kingdom and blocked Long Chen's path, not allowing Mo Xiaolang to attack Long Chen. This figure was Soyan. At this moment, only the figure of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was left in Soyan's beautiful eyes. Her eyes contained an indescribable emotion as she looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Xiaolang, wake up. Soyan used all of her strength to shout this sentence. She knew that this might very well be the last sentence she would ever say in this world. She didn't know if she could awaken Mo Xiaolang's soul. If she failed, then she would be devoured by the sky wolf devouring Qinkuan. However, this was the only way she could prevent Long Chen from suffering a fatal blow. Once Long Chen died, the entire 10,000 worlds would be destroyed. In just a short period of time, the 4 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race had created chaos in the 10,000 worlds and brought uncountable damage to the 10,000 worlds. On top of that, once Long Chen was killed, the 4 sacred lords would become even more fearless. They might even release the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race. If that happened, the 10,000 worlds would really be finished. Therefore, Soyan didn't even think before appearing from Long Chen's divine kingdom and trying to awaken Mo Xiaolang, who was being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The 4 great saint sovereigns were all swallowing a part of the primeval sacrificial dragon that Long Chen had transformed into, so they couldn't spare their hands to deal with Soyan. They were a little surprised, as they didn't expect such an insignificant person to appear at this time. Don't worry. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over the sky-devouring clan is unbreakable. The appearance of this woman won't be able to affect us. Sun-devouring demonic wolf, devour that woman. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a cold voice. Long Chen was surprised when he saw Soyan appear in front of him and stop Mo Xiaolang. For Mo Xiaolang, Soyan was definitely one of the most important people. However, the current Soyan couldn't resist the sun-devouring demonic wolf at all. As long as Mo Xiaolang couldn't be awakened, then Soyan would die. Xiaolang, wake up. Long Chen also yelled at this moment as he stared at the gray eyes of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. The sun-devouring demonic wolf's actions paused for a moment because of Soyan's appearance, and some of the spirit that belonged to Mo Xiaolang in the past seemed to appear in its eyes. However, it only paused for a moment. The pillar of light from the sky-devouring Qinkuan wolf then continued toward Long Chen and was about to engulf Soyan. Soyan didn't move. She looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf with a determined gaze. Just like Long Chen, the 2 of them looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf with the most sincere gazes. Despair. This war is about to end. Holy Lord Devouring Yin's eerie voice resounded. His voice passed through countless spaces and time and spread throughout the 10,000 worlds, causing the 10,000 worlds to fall into even greater panic. But at this moment, the situation suddenly changed. The Devours the Universe light pillared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf cast suddenly changed direction just as it was about to engulf Su Yan. It shot towards the Sacred Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan, Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. The devouring light beam blasted Holy Lord Devouring Yin's body in an instant. The tyrannical devouring law shattered Holy Lord Devouring Yin's power, and the giant bird, which was like an ice sculpture, was blasted into the air. The sky-devouring Qinquan wolf hit its target, causing space to tremble and completely changing the situation. My best brother, the person I love the most, how could I, Mo Xiaolang, attack them? The roar of the sun-devouring demonic wolf suddenly sounded, and a storm of ancestral fire appeared. The 9 laws of ancestral fire formed a storm that sent Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon flying just like Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was surrounded and refined by the 9 laws of ancestral fire, so he could only use the law of devouring to defend himself. He could no longer devour Long Chen's blood essence and was instantly sent flying. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, what about your promise? Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was slightly injured after being refined by the laws of the 9 ancestral fires, and he was extremely angry. He didn't expect the sun-devouring demonic wolf's consciousness to awaken at this critical moment when he was about to succeed. This guy, his will is too strong. I was too careless and thought that he wouldn't be able to resist, but from the looks of it, he was saving his energy and broke through my control. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's voice was extremely grim, but at this moment, the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race still had the advantage. There would be no problem if there were no accidents. Big bro, I'll help you stall those too. You have to be careful. The sun-devouring demonic wolf used the 9 ancestral fires and the laws of devouring to push back Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He then nodded at Long Chen and charged toward the 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race in order to stall for time for Long Chen. Long Chen knew that this wasn't the time to be polite. He was very happy with Mo Xiaolang's recovery, but he didn't think that at the last moment, due to Soyan's sincere gaze and Mo Xiaolang's sudden explosion, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring wasn't able to control him anymore. Now, the pressure on Long Chen was greatly reduced. It was much better than when he had to fight 1 against 4. Okay, let's fight together. Long Chen said firmly. He then took Soyan, who was crying tears of joy, back into his divine kingdom. It was too dangerous for Su Yan to participate in a battle of this level. She couldn't be left alone outside. This battle was the pinnacle of the myriad worlds. Even if the 4th era's primordial ancestor gods still existed, they weren't qualified to participate in this battle. Even Mo Xiaolang was a bit strained, but Long Chen had no other choice. He could only trust Mo Xiaolang and let Mo Xiaolang stall the 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race. Otherwise, Long Chen had no chance of winning. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.